Now the darkness turns to light. No, wait, you feel alive. You're floating in the air. There's lightness everywhere. Watch the stars turn, signals from another place. See the colors burst, lifting off to outer space. On a new path, waking up, it's not too late. There's no time to waste, we will elevate. Blowing up the blue skies, journey to our new dawn. We are traveling with our gravity, reaching new horizons. We just keep on rising. We are traveling with our gravity. Nothing brings us down. 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 We are traveling with our You're carried by the sun. New chapters have begun. Tomorrow never ends. You're rising up again. Watch the stars turn, signals from another place. See the colors burst, lifting off to outer space. On a new path, waking up, it's not too late. There's no time to waste, we will elevate. Blue skies turning to a new dawn. We are traveling with our gravity, reaching new horizons.
So we've been in Charlotte all week long. It's incredible. The whole industry has really been super supportive for NASCAR 25, and we've had 8 or 9 drivers trying the game. And you know, to us, it's just another step in the process of making a great game, right? You want to get their feedback, you want to implement some of the things that they give you pointers on. So enjoy some of the clips of these guys playing the game and just kind of what we went through this week. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We just got done playing NASCAR 25. I would say it's probably the most realistic Xbox PS5 game that I've played. I grew up playing all the old games through my childhood, and it was pretty awesome to be able to kind of get on again, and looking forward to when it comes out.
I mean, the physics, I used to play a lot of games, and NASCAR games, and the physics on this game is above and beyond all of them. So initial thoughts are really good.
I was blown away by how realistic the game was, and just going through the couple tracks that I ran, like seeing how true the repave was at Iowa, and the new asphalt lines up with what we have in real life. The grip levels were accurate, impressive.
It's really cool, like seeing myself in a video game. That means a lot for me, because like I never imagined like saw me in a video game, and made me feel like the first time when I jumped in a car, it was the same feeling.
The first time I see myself was, I mean, you dream about those moments, right? I mean, growing up and playing video games, like I said, 2K or anybody, and playing as LeBron James or doing something, right? You want to take your my player to the top of the, and have the overall, the 99 overall, you know? So now I get to do that for myself. I'm gonna be on that game 24/7.
For the first time ever, there's a whole new level of authenticity to the NASCAR game with the actual track scans and the car physics, which is going to bring fans closer to the sport.
You can definitely tell that iRacing had a significant impact on this game, from the driving characteristics to the audio, the visuals. You can tell the footprint that iRacing had on this platform, and it's a great thing because it just shows how next level video games can be.
iRacing is huge, so just the opportunity for it to go to a game console is also just a great opportunity for people that love racing or just trying to do it for fun and maybe trying to get into it.
I think the first game that I probably played was NASCAR 05. Got that game, actually had it on PSP at the time, and then played it on console as well, so that's really how I got started, and my friends said that I took the game way too seriously.
As a kid growing up, I was a big-time NASCAR video gamer and would love getting to explore all the different tracks and see what they're about, and going to Pocono and realizing it's a triangle, and how Loudon, New Hampshire is really flat, and just seeing all the variety of different racetracks.
This game, from the driver's perspective, is what it needs to be. I mean, myself, in my own career, there's just that energy level when you walk into the racetrack and you hear the engines and practice starts. There's just that feel that you get when you get in your race suit, you hop in the truck.
I mean, I'll never forget it. My first ever time at Daytona, when I rolled into the garage and they put my car on 4 jack stands, and they raise up the hood, and all you hear is the guns going on the tires, the guys working on the car, the spotter crew keep talking. Like, it took me away because it felt like I've been in that situation before, and it actually was like I'm actually living this moment that I played in the game a million of times. So now to be in this game even more elevated, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's definitely huge.
I can't thank these drivers enough. This week has been super special for all of us to come down here and shoot this content and get their feedback. We've had a long relationship with a lot of these guys, and I'm so excited. Even ones we've just met this trip. The passion that they have and the excitement that they have to get this game out and in the market is super exciting. In case you haven't heard, October 14th, that's our launch date. So we're gonna open pre-orders, and we're gonna get you that gameplay trailer that you guys are all begging for about a month before. So stay tuned, we got a lot more information coming on the game for NASCAR 25.
Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
beginning of each and every single show here with us at iRacing. You hear the voice of Evan Pasoko go, this is iRacing. But today, this is more than just iRacing. This is the race for the cure. We find ourselves here in Lakeville, Connecticut at Lime Rock Park for a classic showdown of racing action, and with one goal in mind: to race for the National MS Society and to say that there is a cure going along for multiple sclerosis. It's brilliant when the community comes together. It's brilliant when amazing sim racing action comes to life. Hello everyone, my name's Jake Sperry. I've got Reese Gardner here along with Joey Atterbury along for the ride as we get ourselves set and locked in for 2 hours worth of racing action. Reese, it's always a treat when we get ourselves in for the race for the cure. It's the 5th time that we've gone about into racing with this, and each and every time it is about standing up and saying, this is what we can do as a community.
Absolutely. A huge amount of money has been raised for the MS Society over the last 5 years. And what I'm looking forward to the most out of this race, not just the racing, but also the battle of the donations that inevitably seems to happen every year. It's going to be a fun time.
It absolutely will. And Joey, you know, we sit down, we look at today and we say, this is all about what you need to do. But we're jumping in, of course, with the iRacing team that will be out there. So this is a chance here today to say you are one step above those who make and create this game.
I'm super excited to be here. Of course, we're racing for that great cause, like you said earlier. And of course, we've got those really fast cars on a really small track. And like you said, got the actual game guys out here, the producers, the developers, everybody out here racing. So yeah, you can put your name on it.
And not only can you put your name on it if you are racing, you can put your name on it if you are not here today, because it's all about donating. And there is a wonderful amount of work that is going to be put into today's action to say I can go to the top and run on through. And that comes through our donation link, which you can go through your QR code to go and get that sorted. Scan here and you can find all of the wonderful elements of what we are trying to do and what can be done to raise here for racing action. Remember, the incentive is there's a drive-through penalty that comes through at $100 of donation. So make sure that you jump in, scan, and help us in the race for the cure, so you can get a wonderful amount of work that is done to make all this race worthwhile as it goes. But in terms of where we are in the course of the racing season, when it comes to iRacing events, we are in the thick of it, so to speak, right now, Reese, and knowing that we've got such an amazingly crammed schedule that comes up here in August over the next week or so.
Absolutely. August is packed. Not only do we have the race for the cure here tonight, but the Portimao 1,000 kilometers is happening this weekend, and then the Crandon special event next week. So plenty of action going to be available on iRacing's official channels if you're into some live sim racing. Indy 6 Hour, Bristol 500, and Bathurst 1,000 in September as an Aussie. That is going to be the one highlight, biggest highlight of the year for me. Ending things off with the Production Car Challenge in December. There's so many special events here that you can take part in if you so desire. Some of the biggest events in the community.
And dare I say it here, it's one of the few times you can say in the world of motorsport that motorsport never stops, and there's no such thing as an off season because there's always something over the course of the season to get things done. But let's take ourselves a little bit back down memory lane for what happened 1 year ago, where it was multi-class mayhem, Joey, that we found ourselves in at the very tight and twisty motorsport arena, Oschersleben. Of course, GT3 and Street Stocks were in play, which very much gave the field of having a DTM race put up right next to, say, the likes of a Euro NASCAR race at the same time.
You nailed it with the multi-class, and it was fast and frantic last year, and it was all about keeping your car on the racetrack. You see a few little incidents between these. What were then GT3 cars with those super stocks? Unfortunately, here is one of those staff cars. That Corvette getting spun around in what was turn number 1. Here's another one of our streamers, Matt Malone, pulling off some pretty cool drifts, some smoky drifts out there. But ultimately, we're here for the exact same reason, the race for the cure here today, Jake.
We very much are, and it was all about the stars that were out there and pushing Reese for opportunities. It was very much a case of who could do what, and it was the donation link that made the big change when it came to GT3 class as they came into play, which meant that it was one of the teams that or drivers that we normally see out there overall in the Creator Series out there on iRacing. Eli Singh, or Punju as he is known, picking up the victory. Team Conti, which was Nick Ottinger and Michael Conti, they got second, third, going to Oriel Server's Improper Racing team. In the street stocks, they can see Michel Squirek just burning it down to finish things off as we now take a look at this wonderful Lime Rock Park Cathedral.
Oh yes, one of the classic sports car racing circuits of North America. We're racing the classic layout, no chicanes to speak of here, only 1.53 miles in length. In our top class, this will be potentially sub 50 seconds. Only 7 turns. This thing's been around since 1956, and it's called the Northeast Motorsports Mecca for very good reason. It may be short, it may be tight, it may be compact, but racing is always amazing at this venue. And well, we've got multi-class happening around here, so the chaos is just going to multiply.
It is. This is a free circuit. If you are new to iRacing, you can get it brand new with your iRacing membership. And of course, it was refreshed this year with the new art shaders that came into play this year. Joey, this GT3 class is going to be very interestingly fought because everybody is trying to get their leg up with what they have available to them.
Yeah, you mentioned we are here in those GT3 cars. That's the biggest difference between 24 and 25. We just have the single class, but guess what? 10 different manufacturers you can pick from here in the GT3s. They all range from about 500 to 600 horsepower, of course, BOP regulated, and they're all under 3,000 pounds out there. I kind of like to think them as flavors of ice cream. If you want a little bit of cookie dough, pick up a Porsche. If you want a little bit of mint chip, go out there and pick up one of these Acura NSXs. You like a certain flavor, go try them all.
Absolutely. There will be one group of car that will be more than anyone else, and we'll call that vanilla in terms of racing action here today as we will get ourselves sorted. And it is also worth noting that it's 2 hours worth of racing action that we will have to try and get through. Everybody is running the same as what they can here, so it's a fixed setup that they have available to them. The one fast repair, if they do total a car, you don't often get to see that, Joey, in races in iRacing official events, that the fast repair, effectively the spare car, gives you the opportunity to continue going, even if it does go wrong.
It's a little bit of a lifesaver out there, and sometimes you don't want to burn that up too early in case you get into trouble later in the race. But I think the key is those fixed setups that you were mentioning, kind of like spec racing. Everybody's in the same equipment in terms of that manufacturer, and of course, that one fast repair that we just covered. And of course, solo drivers are allowed in this charity event, or you can have multiple drivers. And then you mentioned it earlier, drive-through penalties can be purchased via donation link.
They absolutely can. You can see there on the bottom right of your screen there is a wonderful donation that is going through here at this moment. We are heading close to a goal donation of $18,000. Reese, we are looking very much set as we get ourselves into play. So this is going to be a lot of fun out there. And the key to today, I think, is how do you carry the momentum? There's just one left-hand corner on this 7-turn circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the left side tyres are going to be put through the ringer, but it's time for the grid. Midwestern Racing on the pole position here with need more practice alongside them as we make our way down the grid. Breadwinners Racing and Team Tim Engel with Speedlab Esports and Blackbird Racing on row number 3. Moving further back, we have Reiter Engineering Esports in the number 76 with EADB Motorsports 71 alongside. First Due Motorsports and Team Alessandro Ambrosino rounding out your top 10. Jake with St. Charles Dads and Tools Racing rounding out your top 12.
Yeah, you got the Crazy Squirrels, Team MZ in 13th, along with Team Arsene Mustafin in 14th. German Masterclass and the Blurs are there. That's a great band name, the Blurs, there in 16th. Blossom Racing and Greystone Racing make up the 9th row. There you can see the Ford Mustang in play. JM Racing and Team Eric Cow then in 20th position. Alberta Esports Racing Orange and Team Fernando Acosta in 21st and 22nd. SRT, Saldana Racing Team and Team Blitz make up the 12th row of racing action. As we take a little look further back, a lot of Fords here, Reese, as we hit the 13th row.
Yeah, absolutely. White Chorizo Racing, Team Black, alongside the McLaren Syndicate Racing, with the Joao Alessio team and Team Diego Luna rounding out your 14th row. Maxim Ivanov on the 15th row with PG Lang Racing, Team Cars 6 and 8, a Porsche and a Ford. Team Matthew Caston and Accelerate Awareness on row 16. Help Me Tom Cruise, number 78, Ferrari. Fantastic team name there with M7 Racing. Team Jason Ecolia, Kason J. Collier, my apologies, alongside the always tired racing car to round out position number 36.
Yeah, and you can look back there at BMK Racing Team, Navy Tiger Racing Orange, 71 Motorsports, and Pop-Tart with a winky face then, making up the top 40. Understeer Motorsports and Team Matthew R. Johnson make up the 21st row with I lost my Pokemon cards. Oh, that is a shame if you've lost those. Along with Team Georgie Gannon. Big K and Snowman Racing make up row 23. Pryor Racing and Clayton Bartlett then on the 24th. As we get ourselves through the final lot, we've got a huge slew of teams here. 49 is the Secret Santa Racing Division make up the 49th row as 49th position, as we get ourselves set for racing action. So that is going to be what they try and navigate through here today. But they know as they climb the hill and work out what is best for them, they know that this is going to be laps that count down frantically, efficiently, and quickly. They will know that each and every time that they are going about their business here, it is going to be, how do I get all of this to work in an angle, in a way, in a scenario that gives them what they need. Barney then waits with the white flag, with the green flag, and then waiting as they go, and it's getting busy already. Up at the front, it is Beltran Pulo in control of the field as the green flag will drop, and we get to racing action here from Lime Rock Park.
Very good start from Bertrand Pulo as he makes his way through the first turn here. Battle for second already starting to emerge with Guy Beatty and Leon Janina pressuring each other in the McLaren and the Ford. A clean start from just about everybody there. Bit of side-by-side going on through the opening corners, but for the most part, Joey, it seems that the field has gotten off cleanly.
Yeah, they have gotten off cleanly, but this is the first lap. Well, we spoke a little bit too soon. I think I see 2 or 3 cars off at the beginning of that Paul Newman straightaway. So already the bull ring started to bite a little bit, Jake.
Right, yeah, we've got a lot of dramas then that's going along in the early stages. You can scan the QR code. We've already got drive-through penalties being thrown in. Thomas Fremantle deciding to bring that in, which is absolutely fantastic. So that will mean that the number 27 will take the penalty to start, which is, of course, Steve Myers at the moment taking that with the team. NASCAR 25 coming October 14th. So they will take an immediate penalty to go through, with 71 Motorsport then also jumping down into the pits with damage on the opening lap. So that will give you a great indication here, Reese, that this is where an amazing start to racing action brings itself into position. You've got to give yourself time early, and for the moment, it is your top 3 that have run away from the field. Speed Lab Esports then in 4th place, and then the next group of 5 follows on immediately afterwards. So we're going to see this. Turn 1 and 2 is going to be the best place to get moves done, and it will be that Big Bend that is the prime place today to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. A big passing opportunity there. See a Ferrari running off ever so slightly in the background, but already seeing a few of the donations coming in, and it looks like we've already had the iRacing team car grab themselves a black flag. So Steve Myers is going to be going through the pits very shortly, and, well, once again, it is all for a good cause. Look at that donation ticker down there. We are going to potentially reach $18,000 by the end of the stream. If we end up exceeding that, that will be a fantastic call there. But, well, the lap's ticking off thick and fast here. These cars managing to complete a lap of Lime Rock Park in about 48 seconds. So as soon as the front of the field starts to come around a lap, man, we are going to be seeing some chaos.
We absolutely are, and we got some wonderful donations that have come in through the original run that we got through. We got up to $13,915 before today's starting, which include the likes of A Better Hammer, the top fundraiser of anyone, donating $1,050, along with the likes of Trading Paints, for example, bringing $500 into the party. So you've got some team elements in terms of the donation train as well, which is itself into play, as we can see that we've got some wonderful work there. That is Team Case and Collier moving through and getting that sorted. Now, this is opening lap then as they go through the opening sections, then turns 1 and 2. And this is what happens when it opens up immediately. Little wiggle, cold tyres then, Reese, as it goes in through the opening corners. And then you just got to be aggressive then through the left-hander in towards the right-hander along the Paul Newman straight.
Yeah, GT3's use tyre warmers, so the tyres do have some temperature in them at the start, but you do need to try and build that temperature up. And then, oh, hello, that is a massive amount of air that the Porsche just got. That is Jason Collier, who apparently is demonstrating the weight distribution of that Porsche. Of course, the engine is slung over the rear axle. There's debris on the front straight. Something's going on.
It has, and that's Clayton Bartlett then, who's run into troubles there through that section. So very quickly it runs itself in. Big lunge down the inside by German Poulot, then looking to try and make the pass on Thomas Jameson, and off goes Poulot, bang, into the tyres. It's as immediate as that. Car decides it just doesn't want to play in the Ferrari, which is normally one of the best cars for downforce, is now going to be toddling around in the midfield.
Yeah, and there's pretty much no space at all on this track. Our leader is only 1 corner away from catching Steve Myers in the number 27, who I believe has already come in to serve that black flag that that Greg West slammed into him there. As we find our way back onto the front straight once again, checking out the Porsche once more. Bit deep into the first turn for Nate Orlowski from First Due Motorsports, chasing Barra Ivan and Filippo Barbieri. This is turning out to be a very nice battle indeed for actually the last couple of positions in the top 5.
Yeah, and those gaps are starting to open out now. 3 seconds for Beltran Polo at the moment over Blackbird Racing and Eric Kubota in second position. And then that focus for the top 5 becomes very key as they run themselves in to the very, very fast right-hand bend at West Bend. Not using the more modern version with all the chicanes that bring itself into play. But Reese, I think one of the big important things to note is that when you've got racing like this and you know that you're going to put it on a fast and ferocious setting in terms of layout that we've got, it is always going to be as aggressive as you can be in terms of putting a race like this together. You've got around the outside team then with Griffin Moore being chased down at the moment. You can see it's John Habig who's trying to get around in terms of this for 9th, 10th and 11th. The Crazy Squirrels Team MZ at the moment with Miroslav Zhurkovic is currently behind the wheel and doing a good job of staving off. A gain of 4 so far. Not so fast Racing Black having a great start to racing as well. +9.
Yeah, indeed. Some great runs up through the field here. And as I check down through the field, it seems the biggest gainer of them all has been the RJRC Motorsports entry, the number 69 of Randy Nichols, up 19 positions. And, well, only about 7 minutes or so into the race. That is a solid gain. Obviously, qualifying didn't go their way, or they decided to sit it out. Well, we're going to have a look here at Steve Myers, who apparently dodged a wreck a few off the start, it seems. The aerial view coming into turn 1, 3 wide ahead of him, and Steve had to take to the inside of the circuit there. That was some good avoiding action.
I think it was. I think he took a little bit of a bite there going in towards the opening corner there at Big Ben. So that was always going to be tough to deal with, but managed to escape to the inside without too many dramas. We talk about how you go about constructing a race, and one of the big keys in terms of how you build a race is you survive the opening stages. Sounds very simple to say on paper. It's the old adage of to finish a race, first you must finish. And ultimately, this is going to be a race of 2 hours. Cars are going to go laps down. You are going to have to avoid various drivers here and there, and it is going to make life very, very difficult. We take a little look then on the back of Beltran Bulo with Steve Myers, the Executive Vice President of iRacing for the moment, and a decent job being 1 lap down now, 38th position currently.
Yes, but making a reasonable recovery from the drive-through penalty he was slapped with at the very start of the race, keeping things nice and smooth in that number 27 Corvette, trying to hook up the apex as there's a McLaren off up ahead of him. Got to take care as you find your way through that sort of slower section of the racetrack. In fact, I believe that left-hander is the slowest corner on this racetrack. That just goes to show how crazy the average speed can be at Lime Rock. There's another Porsche that lifts the front end going over the crest there at the uphill. I feel sorry for the Porsche drivers, honestly. You need to nail that exit if you don't want the front end of the car to go flying.
Oh, you do. And it goes down as well, looking at the Porsche specifically, as there is Blackbird Racing moving the way through. It goes to show you that different cars have different characteristics. And you normally put the Porsche, the Leipzig effort in terms of manufacturers, one of the cars that's got one of the best balance handlings out there in terms of the entire field. But the fact that that's the one that's gaining the most height over the jumps will surprise a lot. We'll take a little replay there down on the bottom of the screen. This is where we see the car just running wide 2 laps down and deciding, well, best way to avoid everybody's drama is I am just going to have the slowest little skirt away. You know what? Do a little bit of lawn mowing. Let's see if I can get my $5 or my $10 there and make sure that the grass here at Lakeville, Connecticut is all nicely mown.
Indeed, lovely verdant green here in Connecticut. I love the scenery in this part of the world, the hills of the Northeast, but we'll find our way through once again to Big Bend. This battle is really starting to increase in intensity. We have Cody Baker in the always tired racing Ferrari, 44th position. He's a lap down, and it looks like making life a bit difficult for our 6th place battle. Filippo Barbieri coming under increased pressure from Nate Orlowski as they both go airborne over the crest, and the Mercedes catching the grass in the foreground there on the way into the fast right-hander, which is the penultimate turn of this racetrack through the compression of the final corner. At least the Porsche will have some front grip there. The tyres are on the ground at that point.
Yeah, and it gives you a lot of understanding along the Sam Posey straight into the opening corners that you are very much fighting on every single element, up, down, left, right, any which way to keep yourself in play. And for Filippo Barbieri just in front, oh, that's a car that spun in front of them. That's 71 Motorsports, who had gone 2 laps down, and Silas Mose there, who was in the car. So that would have been just enough avoidance. And you will find that this is, if you want to put it in FIA category terms, as there goes the Porsche, just having a little skirt there through the grass, coming through the uphill section. This is FIA grade 3 in terms of how you look. You'd say it's grade 3, because of the fact that you've got all of the grass runoff areas on the outside, which means normally it's only good for national events out there, but this has seen the likes of IndyCar race here once upon a time, and as well, so often why we love the GT3s here, IMSA.
Yeah, for sure. A who's who of American racing has raced here. NASCAR Trucks has come here recently as well. So I suppose in that sense it's similar to an oval circuit. It is majority right-hand turns, so a bit of a backwards oval with a little detour around Lime Rock Park. We're seeing some smoke at the top of the hill there. Looks like there's been an incident that happened a bit further up the road. So couple of difficulties maybe about to come up for this top 6 battle, but that gap at the front is looking great for Need More Practice, out above 3 seconds now, but we still have a long way to go.
And remember, for everyone watching, you can influence the way that this race goes out. Tired of a team being up at the front and dominating? Well, you can give them a penalty, a drive-through penalty, which will be oh so important to go and get into play. And we've seen it so many times over the course of events like this that it has tried to sort out the way that this has gone. You can donate, of course, using the QR code, which sometimes pops up on the left-hand side here as we race for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and the 23 running then potentially into a few troubles out there, which will be Tool S Racing. They will start to drop back down the order. So that was Miroslav Zurkovic then running into those issues and dropping down a little bit on the timing order and looking to try and bring back into position. So that will give you a lot of emphasis on where is everybody finding opportunities. And look at this for a bit of side-by-side, and left-hander Jameson Racing taking the tap.
Oh, yeah, that's not ideal. Gentle. Actually, the Jameson Racing car is a Ferrari, and it looks like they've unfortunately suffered some technical issues. They've dropped from the server. This is a slightly different fight that we're looking at, but just goes to show, Jake, Lime Rock is a difficult track to race at. It's pretty narrow, or at least it feels narrow in plenty of sections, and before you know it, you've come around to start the next lap. It's all about keeping up the momentum around this place. Looks like Steve Myers is having to make way for some of these competitors. Fortunately, the track is wide enough in turns 1 and 2 for that to happen, but well, it looks like a couple of them are going to have to wait a few more corners.
Yeah, and we will certainly see how that goes about as we bring ourselves in with some wonderful, great racing that has brought itself into play. So, at least as it goes, it gets aggressive. And with Nate Orlowski at the moment, John Havik there, Yitzhak Lancheros as well for the Sim Racing team. All there, all looking to try and get themselves close. You've got Griffin Moore then, who is also looking about to be in position here as they go. Mid-pack here, Reese looks incredibly close, and look at that for some side-by-side back there. Griffin Moore around the outside, going to the inside on the Sim Racing team, and gets by Yitzhak Lancheros.
Yeah, fantastic job there. This is an incredibly tight battle here. The Crazy Squirrels Team MZ car is the pink Porsche at the front of all of this. And, well, if he looks in his mirrors, he's going to be seeing a huge fight happening here. Nate Orlowski in this First Due Motorsports Porsche, the green one at the front here. Oh, okay. Ferrari stopped at the uphill. Evan Volper in the JRZY driver's car had a bit of an issue there. Fortunately, just pulled off the track, and looks like the battle has been able to avoid that. Murkoff in the background, but it looks like, Jake, we do have an opportunity to speak to Chad Knaus from Team Hendricks.
Yes, Vice President of Competition. It seems like there's a lot of family interest here, Chad, in terms of the way that you're looking to get yourself ready and invested. You've been keeping your eyes peeled on the likes of what Steve Myers has done. It's always wonderful to see you out here in this amazing racing that's gone by. How do you think it's gone in terms of the opening stint so far?
It was a little challenging on the first lap there, obviously. Had some contact, had to get to pit road, make some changes and some repairs to the car, but Steve's doing great. He's an absolute pro, and obviously he's making some pretty good lap time, and he's made up a couple positions. I think we came back out onto the racetrack in 39th. He's running 34th currently, and really proud to be a part of it. I really enjoy this whole opportunity to participate in this fundraiser. It's a lot of fun. 5th year in a row. We've created, oh, watch out there, Steve, got one on the inside. Had a lot of opportunity to do good things for the MS Society, and it's an honor to be here tonight. My son watching tentatively, well, he was, where he went. Oh,
He's on your other side.
Sorry, just kidding. Like all he wants to do is get behind the wheel, and he wants to drive. And I told him maybe next year during the event we'll get him behind the wheel and let him drive some.
Very much a case there of car right there, Chad, rather than car left at that point for you. But in terms of what this event means to you and, of course, to the entire crew over at Team Hendrick, having a charity event and a charity drive like this, to have the car work in and around with iRacing as well, and to give that guidance and that massive amount of experience you have out there, just how incredible is it to see so many cars and so many splits out there racing for a charitable cause for the 5th straight year?
I think it's been fantastic. Obviously, we've raised a tremendous amount of money, and the interest is high. And for instance, I spoke to Dale Jr. earlier today. We had an event together, and he was like, man, I just don't think I'm going to be able to make it tonight. I really want to participate. He understands the value of this platform, what it does for the racing community. It gives everybody an opportunity to go out there and compete at a very high level in a unique racing environment. And, you know, if you're able to go out there with this particular event and raise a lot of money for a good cause, and there's a lot of other things that the iRacing family does for a lot of people in the community. So this is really a lot of fun. It's really neat. There's so many good things that Steve and Greg and all the folks at iRacing do for so many folks, and I'm honored to be a part of it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great release, and quite honestly, if you're building talent and you want to continue to cultivate your talent, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's getting very busy actually in and around Steve right now, with the cars behind having a little bit of lumps and bumps, and a spinner as well from the Navy Tiger Orange team going around. Yeah. How do you look to build over the course of a race like this with a slow Ferrari that stopped there on the inside of the circuit? It seems like there's so many pitfalls here around this cauldron that Lime Rock is producing.
I think it's pretty amazing. So one thing I've noticed about Steve is his lap time has been extremely consistent. So his tire fall off is low compared to a lot of the other people out there. I don't know if the tire deg is higher on some of the other cars. Maybe they have a little bit less downforce, or if Steve's just doing a really good job of managing his tires. For instance, that Mustang right there getting loose into turn 1 and sliding off track. Steve obviously avoided that, got passed by a Ferrari and a Mercedes. But it's really interesting. And I noticed this last night as I was running some practice laps. I wasn't pushing quite as hard as some of the AI drivers or some of the other folks. So my tire deg was less, and you could really come on strong in about 15 or 20 laps.
You certainly can do. And just very quickly before we let you get back to helping out Steve in terms of this action, how much does Team Hendrick look to use and utilize iRacing as this tool to help with such amazing drivers that you have in your stable?
Oh, we do use it often. We had a group of influencers that came through Hendrick Motorsports just the other day. I think it was Tuesday. So what day is today? Today's Wednesday, right? So yesterday, sorry, my days run together pretty quickly. And obviously for the debut of the new NASCAR game, and they were walking through, and we showed them absolutely our first sim rig that we had at Hendrick Motorsports, which is actually an old Gen 6 chassis that we put an iRacing rig on. Monitors and everything. It runs specifically on the iRacing platform. So we still today use that from time to time. You can go back just a couple short years ago with the G56 program. We had never been to Le Mans. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to even begin to build that race car. The first laps ever turned by Hendrick Motorsports at Le Mans was by Jeff Gordon on that iRacing rig that got us set up to go over to France and be successful. So it's a tool we use often. Pretty excited. You know, obviously the Chicago platform, going over to Chicago and racing on the street course there, designed by iRacing, was a way for our drivers to get laps before it was ever out there in any one of the real simulation programs. And shoot, never know. We're going to San Diego next year. iRacing may have that one first as well.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck in terms of the racing action. We will surely see Team Hendrick in and about and around. Chad Knaus there joining us, the Vice President of Competitions. We've taken a look around as Steve Myers just about gets the clearance through on JMH Racing that runs by, and that one was for position then to move up to 32nd position overall. Reese, I tell you what, it does give you a great understanding of how wonderful things have been going, and it is worth noting that we have had a black flag penalty come through for Speed Lab Esports that has just gone through. They were running in 6th position with Filippo Barbieri, so they've had a black flag and they've got to jump in and serve their penalty.
Yeah, indeed they do. Filippo has certainly had a good run so far, but that's going to make things a little more difficult for him. But of course, it's all for a good cause. See, just there, even Steve Myers in the Chevrolet Corvette C8 is getting some airtime on the fronts coming across the uphill. Well, Filippo Barbieri is going to bring it in there to serve that black flag, assigned, of course, by Nim Cross, the head steward here at iRacing, who is present in the session. And we'll keep things going for Steve here. He's, as Chad said, keeping it consistent out there. He's actually driving incredibly cleanly. Things are looking good for him at the moment.
Yeah, and I believe Chad is still here with us at the moment and just wants the opportunity here in terms of all of the most amazing things that have been going about, and so many amazing people come to bring racing like this to life. I believe you've got a lot that you want to talk about in terms of who's brought everyone to the dance and people you'd like to thank.
I do, real quick. I was about to say it a moment ago, and then my son started chatting, but I want to throw out there real quick how much the MS Society does. We've got some very near and dear friends of our family that are affected by and live with MS. And the thing that's been really interesting to me is since I have started this, there's so many people that are so close to the iRacing community and other people in motorsports that are affected with MS. I just saw somebody a moment ago, I think it was Flacky, jumped on there, said that he or she was just recently diagnosed. It's amazing to me how when you pull together an opportunity like this, how the racing community and iRacing community band together for such a great cause. And it's just something I've been really proud of. Jennifer Jones is the one that set this up many 5 years ago, and we had our very first race, and here we are 5 years later doing the same thing, and all in an effort to try to help somebody extremely close to her twin sister. And that's how all of this began. So for Meredith Jones, Meredith Jaggard, and we're really proud of everybody and thank everybody for their time, their contribution, and quite honestly, amazing professionalism behind the wheel and putting this together. And I want to say a special thanks to Steve and Greg and everybody at iRacing, because this is not something that you have to do. This is something that you want to do, and that makes it even more special to me. So there, that being said, thank you guys very much for everything that you do.
Well, it is our pleasure, of course, Chad, in terms of the way that this has been going about and some moves being made. And you would have seen there the young fist bump that goes through. We got another move being done. And it's so wonderful to see, because this is, I think, one of the most amazing things out there, that you get the next generation going through. I was close to pit lane. You can give any driver and team you want a drive-through penalty. You can scan the QR code now and change the way this race has gone. Beltran Pulo, I think, has been out in front for far too long with a 5-second. Whoa, that's a big one.
Aha, that happened right in front of Steve Myers. That's Santiago Medina that's gone off there. But yeah, of course, you can change the face of this race. Scan the QR code now and donate to the National MS Society and lend your support to a fantastic cause that we're glad to support here on the iRacing Esports Network. We are almost at $15,000 raised for this year's event already, and we still have plenty of time left for more of those donations to come in. Let's see if we can crack that 18,000 by broadcast end.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if we could manage that and hit that goal, as Beltran Pulo in control, trying to get by the popped up car of Skylar Somerville out there on track, leveraging the downhill and the long run. And remember that any blue flags out there, it's not mandatory. No one's allowed to just jump out the way. They're advisory here when it comes to iRacing, very much like you would see in American sports car racing. So you've got to do the hard work to try and get through, and this is where you can trip over one car after another after another. It's White Chorizo Racing Team Black, it's M7 Racing, it's Speedlab Esports, as they're all in front, and one drive-through penalty can put you back half a lap's worth of time. So it is important to run through the traffic as cleanly and as effectively as you can.
Yeah, tough to do though, because the corners come thick and fast in the first sector at Lime Rock Park, and they flow directly into each other. So you got to try and keep that momentum up and be brave into the braking zone at Big Bend as we have our first pit stops of the event. These are not black flags, but looks like one car has unfortunately overshot their pit box. That's not ideal. The Porsche with the FAF livery on it, the tartan that you can assign to the Porsche 911 GT3R in iRacing, one of a few default liveries included. Racing going on here into the uphill as more pit stops come in. We have the around the outside Mustang, Griffin S. Moore at the wheel, coming in for a scheduled pit stop, and now we're starting to see that timing screen light up. I think there's going to be a huge amount of cars coming in the pits over the next few laps.
Remember, they're running on a fixed setup, so I don't think they will have 100% of the fuel available to them. They are fuel limited today to 50% of the tank, so there isn't too much that they can do about that. And one of the things that will also be worth talking about is the track conditions here as we watch this going on for 4th and 5th as Bara Ivan and Kaysen Collier then continue on their scrap right now through the opening couple of corners. You've got traffic in the middle of that, so for the moment Team Georgi Ganem is in the middle of that, so it's that second car in the train that the catch that's there at the moment. But it is worth noting here, weather-wise, 119 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay. For those of you who live in metric land, that's 48 degrees Celsius. That is a mighty warm track, and that's going to be putting the tires through their paces. As we mentioned at the top of the show, tire heat management is going to be a big part of success in this race. With so many right-hand corners around this circuit, the left side tires are put through the ringer. I think some of them are going to be melting by the end of these stints.
Oh, they absolutely will be, and so you'll be thinking about maybe changing those tyres earlier as they're trying to get the clearance on Irish Lukash Kumar then to go and get that through. Bara Ivan gets the job done and makes it 2 cars in the gap. Spin behind then, that's Team Matthew Caston then into troubles 2 laps down. In comes the iRacing car to pit. So Steve Myers deciding first stint done, let's try and make this job as easy as possible. Cut it into stint of 4 and then back out and away again by the looks of it there. So the 27 making some good progress.
Yeah, very good progress indeed. And, well, we're seeing a few drivers from the top of the field coming in. It looks like Guy Biddy, Bara Ivan, and Jason Collier have all found their way into the lane. And understand that Joey Atterbury is now back with us. Joey, it's been an interesting one so far as we focus on Beltran Gullo here, the leader in the Ferrari, coming into the pit lane probably this lap. Let's see if he turns right. He does not. It's such a difficult pit entry at Lime Rock Park, isn't it? It comes straight off the final corner.
And that final corner is so incredibly fast. I hope I'm back here with you guys. You know, there were some thunderstorms at Road America where I just was this past week, and apparently I brought them back with me to my basement over here. But hopefully we got everything fixed up as we watch this lead Ferrari go through the only left-hander on this circuit here. And like you said, the pit stop cycles are happening right now, so we'll see if they dip down into pit lane at the end of this lap.
Well, we've just seen second and third decide to jump in. So for Eric Kubota and Nate Orlowski, they have jumped in. So Beltran Pulo's been able to go longer than everybody else on this opening stint, running down under the Haggerty Bridge and through into the fast right-hander. Now in comes Beltran to make that stop very early on the run, down to just 35 miles an hour for pit lane transit, and we'll have to go to the penultimate box out there in order to make that. Oh, that's a hefty hit there in the back there, Reese. They don't like seeing that too often, but that's how quickly it can go wrong. I believe that was Guy Bitty back in again.
Yeah, came back into the pits and hit the concrete wall on the way in. As we mentioned about the pit entry here, you're basically coming off the racing line while the car is still loaded up from that run through the final corner. And you got to try and nail the braking, slow down in time for pit entry, and avoid that infield dividing wall. Unfortunately, Guy Bitty is going to have to spend a bit more time there for repairs, but I understand we're grabbing a replay of the pink Porsche that we have been taking a look at over the course of this race. A little bit unsettled out of Big Bend and then hit the grass, and it looks like another of the Porsches spinning in sympathy, Jake.
Yeah, very much was, and that was a case of a bit of drifting in play. Randy Nichols now in control of the field and making this stint go very well, and now decides to pull off to the right-hand side to jump down into pit lane, right behind Leon Janina, then running on in, trying to battle with the Mustang. There was Frank Perro going backwards then for White Chorizo Racing there for that time being. So we are getting to see all of those changes that come into play. Beltran Pulo will retake control, and you really do see that it's about comfort, Joey, when it comes to a race like this. Comfort of what car you choose in the balance of performance.
Well, we've got 10 different manufacturers in this GT3 class, and they all drive a little bit differently. We covered that it was the fixed setup, so if you're in a Corvette, you're in the same Corvette as everybody else. If you're in one of these Ferraris, you're in the same Ferrari as everybody else. Oh, yeah, and there's just a couple little bit of incidents on the back straight there, and as we watch this Corvette round out at turn number 2.
Beltran Pulo, we've caught it off screen, has had a massive tangle with GG Racing. That's Guy Bitty that was behind Kenny McGrath, Snowmen Racing, and it was heading right towards the uphill. You can still see the smoke of where the incident happened from, Reese.
Yeah, that was a huge crash. I was keeping an eye on Guy Bitty after he unfortunately found the concrete wall in pit lane. He'd just come back out of the pits, and it looked like a bit. Actually, he was the lapped traffic. They were trying to make their way past Kenny McGrath in the Snowmen Racing Ferrari, and unfortunately our leader came together with him in a huge smash, so that has changed the face of the lead of the race here. The Blackbird Racing number 29 now leads the way.
And not only leads the way, dominates the way right now. 19 seconds clear at the line then is Eric Kubota at this stage, so a huge change as far as they go. Now, Joey, this is probably one of the best times to talk about where they are at the moment in terms of what the racing's doing and actually what you can get in terms of why we are donating and how important it is. So, for example, if you manage to pledge $250, it provides a person with dedicated support from an MS navigator through multiple conversations and touch points to address their unique MS challenges and needs. So it really gives you an indication of how this goes in terms of what is so brilliant about this fundraiser. We take another look. So Guy Bitty then in the middle in the orange, trying to work a way around to go to the inside, and then it's just shooting for the gap.
Yeah, that's such a tough one. It definitely has a funnel effect going into that uphill corner, and Jake, you know as well as I do, you can go too wide on entry, but you better have it sorted by apex, and that was just an example when you got two cars battling for one spot.
Yeah, and look out, because we have just hit the $18,000 donation goal, and we've still got an hour and 24 left to put into play. If you want to give a team a drive-through, well, you can scan the QR code now and bring yourself in and make that happen. $20,000 is not a million miles away. And if we can hit 22,000, then in terms of the next run, that would be incredible. If you place just $500, it enables a promising graduate student to work in an MS lab for 20 hours a week over a semester to advance MS research discoveries. For example, $750 provides a family with respite care services to help support caregivers, and $1,000 provides an auto modification to help people with MS maintain their driving independence. Scan that QR code, get the penalties out here in terms of our racing, and we are going to be all in for some amazing racing that will kick on here as we hit the second quarter of this race. But look at that gap, 19 seconds, Reese. It is a light year in terms of the context of this race so far. As in comes German Pulo to make that pit stop. It will now be 24.5 seconds the lead.
Indeed, and well, the timing will update over the course of this lap, but I'm just amazed at how many cars are a lap down or more at the moment. Only the top 8 remain on your lead lap, and a pit stop here takes about half a lap worth of time at Lime Rock Park. So just goes to show that the ebb and flow of this race is going to be difficult, but not impossible to keep track of.
Yeah, and we got drivers now in sim at the moment here, Joey, that they're begging someone to black flag the leader.
You know, I don't blame them. 24.5 seconds out in front, and of course, we are here for those donations and raising that money for a great cause. So, yeah, Jake, maybe it is time that this number 29 Blackbird Racing maybe has one of those penalties as it gets one of those huge wheelies up and over the hill.
Oh, it would be wonderful to see those penalties starting to find themselves in. I look around at this and think just how amazing the running has been. But remember, this is an equalizer. We are not necessarily a dominance-driven race right now. It's all about everyone finding a chance to be right place, right time at the end of the race there. And Eric Kubota then has done well. A low of 18th so far from the RJRC Motorsports team and Randy Nichols. They've really gone quiet about it in terms of the way they've been dealing that race. That AMG Mercedes has done a great job, effectively got the pole and find themselves now in second position, Reece. So they're doing a good job trying to chase.
They absolutely are. Rounding out our top 3, Kason J. Collier as low as 16th place at the very start of the race. Qualified in 8th, so looking good for the moment in that number 14 Porsche. Just behind them, not too far of a gap, Griffin Moore is currently in 4th place. Looks like he's actually just benefited from his earlier higher position, and he's facing a couple of issues there as he is being chased by Miroslav Zurkovic, who holds on to that 5th place. That pass was made into Big Bend at the start of the lap. So we'll find our way down a bit further to rounding out the top 6 here. The Kulioko racing car of Matthew Johnson, first of the McLarens, also getting chased by Nick Hester, who's in the not-so-fast racing black machine, Jake.
Yeah, so the chase on then, and those are the last 2 cars on the leading lap, 6th and 7th, as they duel just in front. That is the racing team of Romeo Costa there, along with the Thazek Superlap Esports Academy. Look at that car, actually, of Nick Hester making that move now to the outside after that little mistake by Matthew Johnson. The Sloth is out there and racing with great amounts of speed, Joe. I've never seen a Sloth move so quick.
Well, you know, these are North American sloths, so they've been imported over here. They might have gotten juiced up a little bit by the time they got to Lime Rock Park inside that McLaren. And yeah, that is one fast-moving sloth up the hill, though. You got 2 of these McLarens going around West Bend and now down the downhill. I always like a good, call it a spirit animal team out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, give credit to those who make big moves over the course of the race. Snowmen Racing 43rd to 8. Here's the look, though, to the inside, trying to get it done. And through Big Ben, if you can get the clearance, you're good. Now, can you hold around the outside of the left-hander, which will lead to that right-hander? There's a lot of understeer, and that's going to be off the road with 2 tires, and that's going to be 2 cars through. Big tap. Round goes Beltran Pulo, the former race leader.
He'd already been involved in a huge smash, which put him down the order, and that is going to be another further blow to that number 16, Jake. It looks like some smoke happening at the top of the hill, too.
Everybody who is on the lead lap has a black flag penalty.
Oh. From an anonymous donation. Okay, fair enough. We don't know who you are, but you have changed the face of this race. Everyone on the lead lap is going to have to come into the pits. That's going to bring the gap way down here, Jake. And I think it's going to be a big benefit to some of the teams who are a lap down or more.
Yes, so that will effectively bring in about 15, 20 seconds back in terms of play. And look at the scrapping off of the pits there between the Kulioko racing car and Matthew Johnson and Team Case and Collier then, as they both went together. So they managed to make that work in terms of outstanding penalties at the moment. The Crazy Squirrels are the only one of the top 7 who have not yet taken that penalty. They've just done so now. So that will bring the field back together again in terms of what they do, but ultimately it has allowed all these drivers and teams to work out where they can be. I now count 10 on the leading lap now from where they were to where they are now, so it's allowed 3 cars to rejoin the leading lap out there. So that will be like some not so fast racing black. Sim Racing Team is another one of them. Team Carl Zisner has also found a way to the leading lap of this race.
Watching these Porsches here, this is the battle for what is 5th place on the racetrack, I believe, as they go through what is the Paul Newman straightaway here. Crazy Squirrels, Team MZ in this bright pink and black Porsche go up the uphill now. And of course, you've got that car that I believe it's that Mercedes, that Ferrari as well, right on the rear end. And you can see down here, go down the hill. So high-speed commitment down this Lime Rock Park downhill. These GT3 cars handled with ease, though.
Look at those movements on the board. Plus 40 for Kenny McGrath and Snowmen Racing. They are flying about in the McLaren as they see going through. That is around the outside to take that to plus 39. So make that a move for position. May Griffin Moore getting it done. Believe it or not there, Reese, around the outside.
Yes, indeed. A very nicely done move from Griffin Moore. And it seems that the pace is looking great for that number 15. The fastest lap so far belongs to Beltran Pulo with 48.024. But Griffin Moore is making sure that he can get a bit closer to that one. He's still under attack from the McLaren, though. Kenny McGrath, a little bit deep in Big Bend, but there's multiple lines possible through that section of the circuit. He's using that late apex to sort of straight line the run a bit more into the left-hander. For the moment, though, the Mustang does look like it has the pace, but we do have a lapped car just ahead of them, Leon Janina in the number 19 Mustang. So that might make things a bit difficult for Griffin and potentially bring a chance back to Kenny.
Yeah, and with Guy Bitty there just spinning in front of them, coming through the uphill, it's very difficult. Now, Joe, we've been keeping an eye on the Porsches. They've been going up through the uphill section, as there goes Guy Bitty again for a second spin, and that'll be that then, as far as it goes. But those Porsches have been catching a lot of air. Is that just because of the fact of where the weight balance is in terms of where the car has it over the course of front to rear? Do they just have more effectively more balance in the rear, basically?
I think that's kind of what we're seeing here now. Just in general, these GT3 cars, how they are so fast around the corners. Now, all of them should be pulling wheelies up this Lime Rock Park classic layout. That's why typically in real life we see them run that chicane layout. But yeah, Jake, to your point, that Porsche, it's got the engine in the back. It loves to do wheelies up and over that crest.
Let's take a little look then on the bottom of your screen. This is what happened to Guy Bitty, who had run as high as third in this race, running through to the uphill, and it's a fast, committed run. Oh, snap on entry. Don't often get that to see. You're very reliant there. You can see the suspension caved in there, the rear left suspension gone, and that pretty much says all you want to know about that race. But it's very weird to see a snap like that on entry.
Yeah, well, one other thing that you'd notice about that McLaren was they had lost the rear bodywork, and particularly on a high-level race car like this, you need to keep the bodywork clean. You can't lose too many pieces, otherwise the car gets aerodynamically compromised. Probably some aero instability there. New donation, Malcolm Fremantle donated a drive-through to Greg's boss. That would be Steve Myers, I believe, in the number 27. So another donation in, Jake, and we are rapidly approaching potentially over $20,000 raised within the next hour or so.
Another one is the way that we're going to put that then. It's their second penalty that they've taken of the day. How many penalties can Steve Myers get over the course of a 2-hour race? I think he's got not nearly enough is the right way to say it, Joey. It's the way the entire community can say, you know what, this is all of the love and what we can do as a community. We can say, Steve, we love the way that this sim always seems to put itself in. Have another penalty on us.
That's okay. It is all for a great cause, and I think that inside this race car, they will take as many penalties as it takes here in this last remaining, call it, what, an hour and 15 minutes here that we've got on the clock. So, yeah, it puts them down the order in terms of that track position, but I think they love why it's happening.
I think they do as well, and it gets busy still. So there is the Mustang pushing a little wide. There goes Griffin Moore, and sneaking down the inside goes Kenny McGrath. The car was spinning in front of them, but look at that. Great fight back then through the left-hander, and now over to the right-hander. Clearance just about there. Oh, Griffin, great work against Kenny McGrath. That's some great scrapping between them, and they will soon allow Carl Zisner into the party then in the Porsche to bring this one closer if they are not too careful. But wonderful battling right now for third and fourth here, Reese.
Absolutely. What I love about that turn coming on to the sort of back stretch at Lime Rock Park is, you can obviously get to the inside and try and maintain that line, but the curve is actually a lot higher than you'd expect, and so the McLaren was having some issues getting the speed out of the corner. An outside exit is usually better at that section of the track. Maybe he'll try it again, but he has to deal with a lap car trying to get a lap back. That's Filippo Barbieri in the Speed Lab Esports number 21. We saw him battling hard in the top 5 and top 6 early on in the race, but a couple of drive-throughs and a couple of pit stops later, he finds himself down in 24th place, a lap down, but you can see he's clearly got a pace advantage over the two ahead of him.
Yeah, and this is where it gets difficult when you've lost the lap and you're trying to gain it back and just run a race. That's wide going through downhill, and that is Kenny McGrath saying, you know what, I'm going to get the Alan Jones song out. He's walking in the air to third place.
Nicely done indeed, and cars coming out of pit lane alongside them certainly wouldn't have helped matters. Raul Mendizabal in the M7 racing car and John Habig in the JMH Racing BMW just making their way out behind them there. So Kenny McGrath still leading the fight for third place at the moment, and there's another gaggle of cars that we see just popping into frame every so often ahead of them. Move a bit further back to the run out of Big Bend. Mustang holding off here for 10th place. It's Wisco Derriere. Andrew Carlson holding off Nick Hester in the not-so-fast racing black car, and a little bit wide there, it seems, for Hester, and that's going to bring the gap back out to over a second, but Tony Reddington could potentially not be too far behind.
I'd say that is possibly one of the best puns out there, Joey, because as we all know, the Wisconsin area, very much known for dairy products. For example, the cheeseheads that you often see at Green Bay Packers games.
Yeah, trust me, I was just there in Wisconsin this past weekend underneath the Sargento Bridge. You know, there's tons of cheese, and not only that, like you said, dairy. I know the Lando Lakes is out there, so they got the butter that you can dip the corn in, the ear of corn. It is a fantastic place to go to. And you're right, it's a good pun. It's a good play on words as you see that Ford Mustang just kind of leading this battle over the McLaren.
Yeah, that's a little bit wide, and you've got to be careful about that from Nick Hester, and that's going to bring back in Matthew Johnson then. In terms of this scrap going on, you've also got there Colby Dumaresque, who's there for Alberta Esports Racing Orange, as well as that Secret Santa car, which started right at the back of the field, Reese, for racing action there. The number 13 car from 45th all the way up to 12th, and looking for a way to jump even higher up through the order. They just lost the place to 13, but there goes the look down the inside by Dumaresque, and that is about as easy as a pass as you get to see through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, hard fought, but very well earned. Interesting to note that Tony Reddington in that Secret Santa Porsche, his car number matches his position number for the time being. Lucky 13th. They are up, according to my timing, 30 positions. They've made a great way up the field in this incredible race. Absolutely action-packed race, to be sure. We barely had a spare moment to catch our breaths here. I absolutely love Lime Rock Park. Can we do this again? Adam Cohen donated a drive-through penalty to car 11 at Santiago Medina for the SYM Racing Team car, and he's immediately in the lane there. Hang on a minute, he's actually just taking a pit stop there. So we'll have to come back in to serve that drive-through. Maybe tap the brakes, stop spinning those rear wheels.
Yeah, that would certainly help. I believe in your realm of the world, Reese. Any time the wheel is spun, that's a penalty when you're down on the lane, surely.
Yeah, I'm sure. But we'll see if he manages to get back out onto the circuit. It seems that he escaped out or had some technical issues there. Has to serve that black flag. Man, these donations are coming in thick and fast, aren't they, Joey? It's great to see the continued support for this event from the sim racing community.
100%. That is the reason why we're here. Not only the great racing, but looks like we've actually got a replay of what happened to the number 32 car out here. So we're live on top, and this is the downhill on the bottom here. And, oh, just a little bit of front-to-rear contact sends them around. Let's see, is there any sort of secondary contact?
Ooh.
No, that was a pretty close moment, though, with cars going by on both sides.
I think that was the iRacing car there down on the inside there that had to try and avoid that. That was a huge big break. That was certainly found there, and there's still so much more that goes through in terms of what is there and available each and every time you donate. So if you donate upwards of $2,500, that's the equivalent of hosting one society in-person program event to educate and connect 100 people affected by multiple sclerosis, and $5,000 is a month of support for an MS research fellow to help launch the career of the next great MS research leader. This is the code for drive-through penalties only. Penalise a team in this race. Scan this QR code to donate, of course, to the National MS Society, and to give an absolutely huge opportunity here of shaping the way this race is going, because we've only got here right now, Joey, 4 cars on the leading lap.
Yeah, but what I love about this race is that could change at any moment. It could change at any moment from a donation from anybody out there. Can be completely anonymous. So yeah, we might only have 4 cars on the lead lap right now, but Jake, how long is that going to last for?
Well, I would say not very long, hopefully, is the way it goes. That was a little bit sketchy coming out there of that section, rushing through into the opening corners then as we focus there with Dennis Neary and co out there, as well as Help Me Tom Cruise, which was the team there on the back. Oh, and right in front of Tom Cruise, he gets the help he wants right there. Georgie Gannon going around with Clayton Bartlett there, and for the moment the 78 team are up to 13th position. They've got all the help they need, Reese.
Yeah, certainly do. Yeah, Gannon getting tapped around by Clayton Bartlett. through the only left-hand corner on this circuit, but it looks like both cars have managed to get back going again. Further up the field, coming out of the final corner, seeing that Tony Reddington is now under a lot of pressure from Joshua Burnett, and he's got some slipstream down the front straight. Doesn't look like any damage to the Porsche, so its straight line speed shouldn't be too affected, but yeah, it looks like that Ferrari is gearing up for a move, especially if he can nail the run through the final few corners.
Any which way to find that pass will be critical, and it's one of the more unique things, Joey, when it comes to the racing track. You've only got one left-hander and every other corner is a right-hand bend. There is that tendency to go and defend the inside, which makes it a lot more difficult as they go. You've got this wonderful paint there, all the colours running on that Porsche. Down the hill and over towards the opening section. That is Carson Collier's car at the moment. Right in front of him is Steve Myers. Then you've got the Wisco Derriere car in 6th position. So this is 6th, 7th and 8th going on at the moment, because you've got Nate Orlowski trying to stay with this group, and traffic in front as the Navy Tiger Racing orange car has gone through. Look at this, shoot the gap through the middle. Oh, you don't want to be there, Steve.
That was a hairy moment of 3 wide. Lime Rock Park usually does not accommodate 3 sports cars wide, but that was some good heads-up racing from that iRacing machine to be able to leave room as those cars were kind of passing through the middle. I actually think it was that Ford Mustang, that 777, that Wisco Dairy car that got way out wide on that right-hander that kind of choked everything up. So talk about a nervous moment. And Jake, back to your point, yeah, there really is only that one passing opportunity here at Lime Rock. That's why it's known as the Bull Ring.
It is a bull ring, and it's one of these very unique bull rings in terms of what this circuit does. It has a lot of, I would say, similarities, Reese, this circuit, to the likes of an Oldham Park, for example. And one of the reasons why is they can't race here on a Sunday.
Yeah, that is an interesting fact about Lime Rock Park that not many people outside of America know, because there's a church basically across the road from the track, and they would obviously like their Sundays nice and quiet for church services. So Lime Rock Park respects that, and only races on Saturdays. Another penalty donation has come in here. Jacob Klein donating a drive-through penalty, and potentially to this number 30, unless we get confirmation otherwise. But it's great to see the amount of support being thrown in here from all corners of the community. Once again, scan that QR code to donate a drive-through penalty, and change the face of this race, your influence on one of the biggest events on the iRacing calendar.
The Help Me Tom Cruise team also picking up a drive-through penalty along with Alberta Esports Racing Orange. So those two getting penalties then put into play as the work continues on here in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th in terms of where they scrap about at the moment. Steve Myers, a little live look in here, Joey. Can you, as a former racing driver out there in the United States, how good is Steve Myers' driving style at the moment?
I mean, I think he's doing a perfect job, because remember, he was just 3 wide coming up on this Paul Newman straight and was able to avoid any sort of contact. Now, this left-hander usually enter it in the middle of the road. Crazy late apex, which he was pretty much able to nail a little bit shallow here into this right-hander, but it's all about keeping your head on a swivel. Now, this is one of the most fun corners. The uphill. Drive the car hard into that compression. Trust that just the vehicle dynamics are going to grip up as you hit that compression. This top of the hill corner, you just got to balance it. And then the second dramatic elevation change of Lime Rock Park, the downhill, where once again you drive the car into that compression, barely keep it on the racetrack. And that's how fast a lap goes by in one of these Corvette GT3s.
And something we haven't talked about is the iRacing instant point limit that's here today, Reese, because it's a case of you can get 25 penalty points over the course of this race. It's a drive-through penalty, then every 20 instant points after that.
Yes, and Lime Rock Park being the old school circuit that it is, grass, it just lines the racetrack the whole way around. It can be very easy to get an off-track 1x incident point for that one. And if you end up messing up the run up the uphill, you will get a 2x for loss of control. Contact with another car gets you 4 incident points. And I'm sure there's more than a few teams in this field that have already racked it up. That's going to be a 1x for sure for the Mustang ahead.
Yeah, that's around the outside, and Griffin Moore, who have now fallen 2 laps down here in this race and have now moved into 19th position for that. So that gives you a lot of indication here as we are just about to get to the hour, and this is the push, and this was around with Filippo Barbieri, it looks like, and this was the push through, and there was a lot of and then just go to the outside, and is this that's a hefty hit into the wall there for the number 15 machine of around the outside, and that is where that time evaporated.
Well, Jake, you can't go around the outside of the downhill, unfortunately. That can kind of be what happens on this downhill section of Lime Rock Park, and unfortunately, they found out the hard way.
1 hour then into your National Multiple Sclerosis Society race for the cure here with iRacing. This is your race leader at the moment, Blackbird Racing and Eric Kubota in a full dominant display right now, 18 seconds to the good over the line ahead of Randy Nichols and RJRC Motorsports. The number 69 car is having a nice drive at the moment and looking to try and charge on forward then to get back to position number 1. The last car on the leading lap is Kenny McGrath and the Snowmen Racing team, who started 43rd on the grid and find themselves up to position number 3. Reese, it has been quite simply said, a wonderful start to the race then for the first half of Blackbird Racing. We'll take a little look at this replay coming up on the bottom of your screen, and I think you've got a great indication of what has made this opening hour so challenging.
Yeah, indeed. It's a tight circuit in fast machinery here at Lime Rock Park, and there's been plenty of dramas so far, even outside of the penalties. Oh, that is a hefty smash. Debris strewn across the racetrack. That's one of the BMWs, and oh dear, one of the Mercs gets involved as well. That is a multi-car incident, and that would almost be cause for a red flag in the real world. And did I see the BMW making a beeline for that Mercedes? That probably got a bit worse after we cut away.
Yeah, there was a lot there of trying to avoid all of that incident. A 5-car pile-up then on the Paul Newman straight, which is a very interesting place as a straight, Joey, because it isn't.
No, it is not straight whatsoever. In fact, our leader here that we've got our eyes on is about to go through that section of the racetrack. So, yeah, folks, if you consider this a straightaway, so does Lime Rock Park. It used to be No Name Straightaway, but recently renamed to that Paul Newman Straight. And yeah, you can kind of make your car pretty wide out there, and sometimes you can have that huge funnel effect going into the uphill.
Oh, it absolutely can. We see it time and time again as far as racing goes, where everybody is looking to try and get themselves as much as they can. This is a scheduled pit stop, by the way, with that 50% fuel tank. So, Reese, in comes the race leader.
Yes, as we check out what happened in the first half of this race, it was a very good getaway from our initial race leader, but drama happening at the first turn already. Again, some great avoiding action by Steve Myers in that number 27. As we found our way through the opening laps, more and more cars faced issues.
Yeah, everybody found themselves pointing the wrong way at one way, shape or form, and we've seen some very hefty hits into the barriers. I tell you what, there's a lot of repair work that's going to have to be done, Joey, at Lime Rock Park by the Virtual Crews.
These GT3s are so fast around this very small circuit. It is bound to happen. And yeah, lots of big slides, lots of tire smoke being put out by these 500, 600 horsepower engines as we're pretty much just past halfway through here. Of course, got to remember it is a 2-hour race, and here's some more action shots of some of that carnage, especially in some of these narrower areas.
Oh, there's been some huge hits. The problems there for Guy Petit that we saw earlier on in the number 1 car. And it just goes to show you how aggressive you've got to be up over the top of the hill. There's some good work in terms of passes. And then a little bit more of a case of drivers trying to push the boat. There was actually Mercedes there avoiding those troubles. And then if you have to, in any way, shape or form, lift through some of these corners, Reese, it's one of those circuits where the moment that you take away the downforce, effectively you're asking for the low load to come in at the car and to make things worse. If you want to give a team a drive-through, if you think a team's doing a little bit too much out there over the course of this racing, you can scan that QR code now, $100, and it says, right, drive-through penalties, Phil.
Absolutely. Oh, it looks like the around the outside Mustang having issues again there at pit entry. I was going to say, we saw live and on the highlights that car having an issue out of the final corner. At least it was a short trip to pit lane for them, but Griffin Moore ultimately suffering further issues there. But you're right. This is a good time to scan that QR code and give a drive-through penalty to one of the top teams, because this is the point where positions really start mattering and track position really starts mattering. The run into the pit lane, 50% fuel tank restriction on these fixed setups. GT3 car can typically go around about an hour on a full tank of fuel, and well, half an hour, half a tank of fuel. We're going to get a replay of that number 15 pit entry. Once again, Griffin with some issues through the final corner. He was, oh, it looks like he just overshot it, Joey. He got on the brakes a bit too late, and uh-oh, there's the pit lane, and he's not in it.
You had mentioned how fast that pit lane entry comes up after that downhill section, and that is just a great example of it. If you're not on the brake pedal pressure at the right time, you can just go slip sliding right on through that entry over there. So a little bit of a sloppy one, but hey, you know what? They made their way back down into pit road, so everything is all good now.
Well, everything sorts itself, but Fernando Marçal now in behind the wheel for Blackbird Racing. But the key is going to be the gaps that bring themselves up. So back in again goes RJRC. So they've had to come in once more, and this might just be the reason why they've been going around the circuit here on the bottom. So they can see loops the car around on cold tyres. Joey, how often do we see that? Cold tyres out the pits and trouble.
That is a pretty standard procedure that you can't use the same markers when you've got everything up to temperatures and pressures out there. That first lap can be treacherous. And Jake, not only that, but usually the driver has stayed in the car, so they're used to a certain grip level. They might just simply go and overdrive it without even knowing it.
It is so easily done. We see it time and time again. It's now a 26.5-second gap for Blackbird Racing at the moment. Kenny McGrath and Snowmen Racing are in second and have done a wonderful job then to bring themselves into play. And look at how close it is actually when you look back there to 5th, 6th, 7th and the groups. Everyone's forming their own small little pack at the moment here, Reece, and this is the key that you've got to these races in the second half of any form of sprint/enduro style that you've got, is that you'll find people to race with. It all balances out, the checks and balances in the end.
Yes, and that's why you need to be careful to plan your race properly in an endurance race, because you never know when you might come up on someone who's just running a different strategy to you and maybe at a different stage of their tire life. Move there for Kason Collier. I'll get his name right one of these days as we move on through to the number 11 Mercedes. We did see the SYM Racing Team getting a drive-through penalty earlier on. If you want to give them another, donate to the MS Society campaign. And worth noting, we were talking about cold tires. Well, I want to draw your attention back to the track temperature. It's gone up. It is now at 52 degrees Celsius, or about 126 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a massively hot track right now as the move is made for the number 11. If you like your steaks Pittsburgh rare, that's about the internal temperature you should be shooting for.
Yeah, that's a great move there on the Granches Racing Team. Behind that, they've got Speedlab Esports, who are trying to work with them around the outside, also in this battle. And iRacing has donated for a penalty for everyone in front of Steve Myers. Everybody in for a penalty right now. Joey, it is going to be a case of get everybody in here.
I love to see it. I think this is fantastic. I mean, that number 27 Corvette is a few laps down, so why not level the playing field a little bit? Bring them all in that's in front of that Corvette.
Well, it is one of the shorter pit lanes out there, and look at that. It is a pit party race.
Oh, wow, it's packed. if we saw this many cars in the pits at once under normal circumstances, we'd be thinking, wow, it's a battle of the pit crews, but everyone's lost a few seconds worth of track time as a result of that one. Steve Myers is piloting the number 27 down in 24th position, so we're going to be seeing yet more cars make their way in. That's the number 29, our leader, making their way into the pits, and I'm not sure if this is going to result in any changes for position for anyone in front of Steve, but it's certainly going to make things a bit easier for Mr. Myers to catch up.
Well, they're in 24th position, so I count that as 23 black flag penalties that have come through then to make that work, which is the equivalent, I would say, in terms of putting all of those penalties in, of $2,300 worth of penalties. That's the level of trying to get the penalties in, Joey, and that's what we love.
Yeah, it is just trying to fit those things in as we ride on board here with Steve Myers in this iRacing machine, this Corvette, as they go down the front straightaway here. The only bummer part I see about that one lap, or I should say the penalty for everybody in front of them, it actually didn't move them that far up the order. They have gone from 3 laps down now to 2 laps down, but still sitting back here in 23rd, probably needing some more donations for a lot of cars in front of them.
Yeah, you can see on the timing tower to keep a track of where Steve is. We got him in orange for the entirety of the run, so keep an eye out on Steve Myers and the work that he's doing just behind the Secret Santa Racing Division car, which is a lap ahead of him at the moment, and as his work comes in. Now, here's a little something that you won't necessarily realise here. Believe it or not, Reed, you could, if you really wanted to in these 2-hour races here that we've got, run a 16-car team.
Yeah, you certainly could. There's, some debris on the front straight there. I think the number 13 Porsche coming in had a bit of an issue there. But yeah, teams are open to up to 16 drivers. I don't know how you divide that amongst 16 drivers. I think a 4-driver max is probably the way to go, as Steve has got a lot of racing to contend with here.
Position.
Yeah, fellow Corvette Gerald Lowery in the Navy Tiger Racing orange car gets a great run around the outside of him, and that's going to be the move for the number 36. Steve's next target is going to be that Corvette for quite some time, but he's going to have to worry about the overall leader about to come through on him first.
Absolutely wonderful. $19,049 worth of donations have been hit at the moment. We're trying to hit $24,000 by the end of this race. There's still time to donate, and it's absolutely wonderful to see at the moment, but a great scrap then from Steve Myers. And he might not want to let Steve Orlowski through here because he'll want to try and stay with Gerald Lowery then for that position. Won't manage it, and just in the midst of this, your overall race leader, 22 seconds to the good. I think they need another penalty, Joey.
They do need another penalty, and you know, you had my brain going over here. If we put 16 drivers in here for the 2-hour race, I had to do the math behind the scenes. That works out to about 7.5 minutes per driver. So yeah, you could do about a handful of laps, then come and keep doing some drivers.
That's like 10 laps. Oh, goodness.
Look, it's not the most economical way of racing, but it is a way of racing.
Yeah, that it is. Yeah, comes thick and fast at Lime Rock Park, as I said before. He is the overall leader, putting another lap on Steve Myers if you want to give them another penalty so that Steve can get passed by them again at some point. Make sure to get your donations in. We'll flash the QR code up on screen periodically. Replay down low, 3 wide into the first turn, Jake. This looks interesting. Oh, the Porsche almost getting forced off the track there, and the Mercedes with a great move around the outside, so deep on the brakes into the left-hander. That's how you race at Lime Rock.
That's your third place Mercedes as well. Oh, and then it happens. That's why the around the outside team found themselves wrong place, wrong time. Right-hander on the outside, take the tap, and nowhere to go. I do want to note as well, there was an issue out there for Team Matthew Caston, the 33 car. They've dropped a couple places because they've had a tag at the uphill, and they were on the top of the crest, Joey, broadside.
It's a tough place to be, especially if you're stranded up there. You kind of have nowhere to go. You can't see what's back behind you other than using that relative box. You're just kind of patiently, nervously waiting to see what's going to happen, and sometimes it can end in tears as we just get another awesome shot of this Blackbird Racing, our leader, that Porsche, doing the wheelies on that uphill.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the wheelies as they go out there, but this is the best chance as any. 45 minutes left in this race to maybe talk about what multiple sclerosis is, because everyone gets this understanding of what multiple sclerosis is, and they say, oh, this is bad, this is something that everyone doesn't want, but doesn't quite understand how bad it is. So imagine a scenario where your central nervous system, for example, is like a nightclub, let's say, and you've got all of the great ability to say that all your white blood cells are effectively bouncers and bodyguards. They're there, they try and stop any form of nasty disease coming through and attacking the body. So imagine what happens then with multiple sclerosis, that effectively you've got your normal regular goer, your red blood cell, that says, I've got a VIP ticket, I'm allowed to come through. Maybe not your regular, but walks on through, then goes to the back door of the nightclub and then opens the door and effectively says, right, all the nasty people come on through. It's effectively your central nervous system attacking itself. There's a lot of research that goes into it, and actually something very interesting that they've found as well, Reese, is that there is a tangible link as well to stress in terms of seeing more flare-ups come through in terms of multiple sclerosis. So there's a lot of research and availability it's gone through, especially back from where it was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago to now. Do anything that you can to donate to a wonderful cause and bring yourself the opportunity to say, right, this is something that we can prevent and basically give so many people who suffer with this a life of pure longevity and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There presently is no cure for MS, but we are trying to find one. And as long as the researchers involved are able to do their work, we may be able to progress towards finding a cure for this terrible autoimmune disease. So make sure to donate and lend your support here in the race for the cure. Race for 12th at the moment. Aaron Moran holding off Filippo Barbieri, who's making off a good recovery from his early issues in the race. Gap down to about 0.5 of a second. On board here with the Brazilian Speed Lab Esports. And, well, for a car that we've seen in the wall a couple of times earlier on, Jake, it seems that he's having a consistent time out there at the moment. Great recovery.
Yeah, 49.7 on the last lap. Aaron Moran, the car in front, did a 49.3. By comparison to the leaders, that's about what we're seeing from the leaders, 49.3. So they are running some pretty light and fast pace, but look at that. You've got to hit the jump square, Joey, when you're going through the uphill. It's very sketchy. The moment that you don't hit it square, that's when the car squirrels around.
100%. And if you have too much of an early apex, well, guess what? You find yourself washed way outside to driver's left, and then you're not even on the racetrack when the car actually lands. So it's a very tricky corner calling that uphill, and you really have to drive the car into it and trust that that uphill compression is pretty much going to grip up the front end of that car. And then once the front end grip, it kind of pulls the rest of the car up the hill. But let's keep right on board here with this uphill and see exactly how they handle it. Like I said, don't turn in too early. It'll wash out wide. That's a perfect apex right there. Slam on the gas and let the front end do its thing.
It's been a story of the race, really, that it's been issues at the hill. It's the fastest section of the circuit, and we've had a lot of drivers run into troubles. Let's start with a Mustang. Bang! Basically galloping into the wall and almost jumping over the top of it like it's a case of the Fed Stakes. And it's not just a case of can you drive through it cleanly. You've seen all these wheelies they've gone through on entry, on exit, with cars that you're battling with, not battling with. Reece, we've seen pretty much every type of incident here.
certainly have, but what we've seen the most of is those front wheels lifting off. And one other thing that you notice is that the exit of the corner is completely blind. You don't know what's on the other side of the hill when you come in. And I mean, the summit is enough of an issue. There's also been plenty of incidents, as we saw there, down at the bottom of the hill as well. A fast corner requires a stable rear end, but a pointy front end to get the job done.
Yeah, and we're getting towards the crunch time now, in just under 41 minutes now in terms of racing action, and Fernando Marçal is doing exactly what is needed. There is the number 31 car, SRT, Saldana Racing Team. Dennis Neri is currently piloting at the moment, but having to scrap, just lost the place of the car that has just ran through the grass right up against the Armco there. Matthew Johnson there for Culiocco Racing, but that is Colby Dumoresque trying to find a way through for Alberta Esports Racing. Nice to see the Canadians out there giving a good challenge, and for the moment, it's Colby looking for a way through.
It's been a nice variety of manufacturers as the Mercedes kind of shows the nose to the inside, and looks like this Ferrari's out a little bit wide, but is able to kind of late apex what is turn number 2 out there. You got to be careful because that car, that Mercedes, is right there, and if you leave the door open for too long, with these GT3 cars, you can definitely slip the nose up the inside, and once you're there, it's pretty much just game on.
Game on indeed. Look at that, a much narrower line looking to attack up the hill to the West Bend as aggressively as possible. Now, Reese, oh, look at that. That's trouble through the middle of the corner. That's easy in terms of a pass there. Dennis Neri having to slow through the middle of the corner and say, you know what, not much I can do. Car off as well on the right. That's Beltran Pulo then in trouble a couple of laps down. But that was a really interesting moment there, Reese. Not often you see a slow like that. That was almost slow down-ish.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like, but West Bend is such a difficult corner, you know. I think what happened was Colby Dumoresque ended up unsettling Neri a little bit, and he caught the inside curb. Joey, you know about this. The West Bend curb at Lime Rock Park, it almost seems like one of those old-fashioned racetrack curbs that are very raised compared to the racetrack. It's not a real smooth transition from the racetrack to the curb. It's often better to stay off it.
It can be better to kind of keep the platform stable and level, and when I think of West Bend up at kind of the top of the hill up there at Lime Rock Park, it is all about car and balance, right? You have to be able to rotate the front end of the car enough to get it through, but at the same time carry as much apex speed as possible because, well, he is that downhill as we look at a replay. In the downhill here, I believe this was the 16 Ferrari getting it wrong.
Well, I don't think they had much choice there, Joey, because that Corvette was so slow coming through the downhill.
It's tough, and the downhill is so high-speed commitment too. Things kind of get stacked up. It's also one of those funnel effects that we've got here at Lime Rock Park. I can think of probably 3 funnel effects that really narrows up, and one of them, the significant one, is that downhill.
It's 125 miles an hour through that corner in GT3 spec, so you really are motoring as you head on through, and so you're very much trying to just hold on to what the car is allowed to do as we focus with Colby Dumoresque and the Alberta Esports Racing Orange team, who are now up into 9th place now after starting in 21st position. Just 4 cars that started inside the top 10 race are still there at the moment.
It's been a wide and varied race for just about everybody, and huge position gains and losses throughout the field. We have 2 cars in our top 3 that have gained just about 40 positions per. The Snowmen Racing car and the RJRC Motorsports number 69. They've had absolutely monumental runs up through this field, but yeah, it looks like Kaysen Collier, Nate Orlovsky, and also the Blackbird Racing number 29. They're the only cars that started in the top 10 to remain there at the moment.
We had another penalty come through for Epic Fails Motorsport, but it doesn't look like they're on circuit anymore. So they've taken that penalty. When they come back out, they will have a black flag penalty to go and serve. $19,149. Let's get to 20,000 at least before we push inside the final 36.5 minutes worth of racing, as it's now 8th, 9th and 10th on your screen at the moment. And here again comes Colby Dumoulin looking at any way to attack Matthew Johnson for position in the Kulioko Racing machine. It looks like the Kulioko Racing team are happy with the way that it's going at the moment. It's fended off nicely into turn one, but look at the aggressiveness there of the Mercedes into the corner, Joey. This is really nice. Great racing by Colby Dumoulin. It's like watching a driver that is eager to make a move can carry the mid-speed. That's the Crazy Squirrels Team MZ will take a penalty from 4.
Yeah, got those penalties rolling in. I think I see 3rd and 4th currently have penalties as we watch this McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari battle back here for 8th, 9th, and 10th. And this is one of those cars getting one of those penalties. And just as I say that, one of those Mercedes we were watching, Colby Dumoulin actually just went off at the West Bend at the top of the circuit.
Oh, it's disastrous, and they will drop a lot of time for it as well. So Colby Dumoulin, then, who had done all that work to gain those places, gives them away again to Dennis Neary and the SRT Saldana Racing team. So that will really hurt in terms of what they're planning to do to get back into position. And they might need a little bit of help then from the old donation train to get that sorted. So for Colby Dumoulin, this is about, can I find my way back to that group? Fortunately enough, there's still 35 minutes to go make that happen as in comes the Crazy Squirrels Team MZ car then to make that stop that's needed.
Yep, one more drive-through penalty awarded thanks to a donation, and there's undoubtedly going to be many more coming in. But Colby Dumoulin is going to now start the run to try and get back ahead of Dennis Neary. I mean, Colby is clearly fast. I mean, his lap times are crazy. He took just over 0.8 of a second out of Dennis Neary on the last lap alone. Clear air, very valuable here, Jake.
Oh, we just had the spin from the Crazy Squirrels Team MZ car there, and that's the position that they're going to gain. There are sounds and sights everywhere here in terms of racing action with your race for the cure. Let's listen in as we go iRacing full throttle. Blackbird Racing have control, but that gap is coming down. 15.2 seconds it was over the line. Fernando Marçal currently at the moment in control of this field, with Kenny McGrath trying to hunt on down. Joey, we sit in a position right now where it's comfortable right now, but 15 seconds, when we talk enduro terms, that's not comfy.
Oh, not at all. I would want multiple laps, and even at this point with the donations and the drive-through penalties, I'm not even safe 2 laps, maybe even 3 laps ahead. So in terms of strategy for this number 29, I think it is hammer down, full focus forward, and do whatever you can to run away as quickly as possible and try to stay there.
And Reese, I think what's also very important to keep in mind here as far as racing is going is that we are right on the cusp of our final pit stops now bring themselves into play. And Blackbird Racing have been one of the last teams to come in, but Snowmen Racing even later than that.
Yeah, indeed. Just coming up to 29 laps complete on the stint for Kenny McGrath in the Snowmen Racing machine. Fernando Marçal, 31.3 laps completed at present. So half an hour to go. You can fill up the tank now and be pretty certain that you will get to the end. As we mentioned before, here's Kenny McGrath, who's trying to find his way past some lap traffic. Yeah, fuel tank restriction for these GT3 cars. Slight slide as he comes onto the Paul Newman straight. 1 hour fuel tank in the GT3s. Cut that in half. You get half an hour. Nice and simple. 3 pit stops to get to the end under normal circumstances.
Yeah, and at the moment we've got one of them in with RJRC Motorsports making that stop. There is Kason Collier in 3rd position, 37 seconds off of the race lead, or 33 seconds as our timing tower has it at the moment. So Kason's really been trying to keep this in play. Has been in and around that top 5, Joey, all day long, and Porsches, I think, have been the most dominant in terms of archetypal of car.
It looks like we've got, call it, 3 Porsches inside the top 4. And let's see about this lap time as Kason crosses the line here. The one prior was a 49.4, this time a 49.6. You compare that to our overall leader, that Blackbird Racing machine. It's actually about a 1/10.5, maybe 2/10 faster. That's not a ton here at Lime Rock Park. That is certainly not going to absorb 45 seconds. You're not going to cut into that lead, so you're going to have to go a little bit quicker than that.
Let's give some love to some of the cars out there that haven't really had too much focus on them over the course of today. So the 8 of the Crunchers Racing Team, one of the few Acuras that have been out there today, Reese. And I really love the fact that we've got a wide variety of cars. We've got some Mustangs out there, the Ferraris are there, you've got Porsches, and then you've got this car of Aaron Moran at the moment running that Acura.
Yeah, indeed. The Acura hasn't been the most popular choice for this event, at least the split that we are focusing on, but it's one of the newer machines to be added to iRacing's GT3 roster, and it's always nice to see it out there, driven by I believe a twin-turbo V6. A lot of engine variation in the GT3 class. You go from things like the naturally aspirated V8 of the Mercedes and the Mustang as well, to a turbocharged V8 and the likes of the McLaren, the flat 6 of the Porsche, the inline 6 of the BMW as well. There's plenty of engine variation in this category, and I think that's a big reason why we love this category so much and why it's so popular. There's a huge variety of cars, and they all, okay, drive-through penalty donation, Sperry. What can you tell us about that?
Well, that's second place, so it looks like Blackbird Racing trying to keep themselves on coverage here, and so a drive-through penalty will extend the gap out further. So it looks like Blackbird have everything falling into line, and Joey, that is huge in terms of the context of this race. Right before a pit stop window, getting black flag penalties makes life devilishly difficult.
It certainly can throw a wrench in that strategy game as we see this McLaren come down and trundle down, doing only about 35 miles an hour. It is so painful as a racing car driver. All of that hard work that you made on the racetrack, you just see everybody flying by. But I actually think they might have got away with one, Jake. They came in second place and are actually leaving still in second place.
Well, they keep the gap then of one full Big Bend corner then over Case and Collier, and that will bring them closer in to trying to build that up. $19,249. Let's try and hit $20,000 by the end of this race here. You can donate using the QR code link, which has been up there on your screen in many different guises over the course of this race. And scan it right there on the left-hand side of your screen. Donate $100, gives you the chance to put a drive-through penalty down on the board as we take a look from the rear of Kenny McGrath.
Yeah, there's the gap. And, well, we see that Case and Collier is about 5 seconds back there. That Corvette behind is a lapped car, Gerald Lowery. And, yeah, that's true. Case and Collier is pitting. And this is a scheduled pit stop for Kaysen. He's joined in the pits by the Kulioko Racing McLaren of Matthew Johnson.
Now for Kaysen, this is a case of needing this pit stop to go well. Matthew Johnson out away, trouble! Oh. Bang! Round goes the race leader, Fernando Marçal, coming together with First Due Motorsports, who are just a lap down in 4th place, and now they're going to have to really work to get themselves around. They have been flawless all race long, and for the first time, they found a fault.
That was a big mistake going into turn number 1, and I don't think it had anything to do with the lapped car. I just think it was Fernando getting in a little bit deep, maybe even clipping that first apex in turn number 1. But Jake, talk about a change of pace for our race leader. Now they're going to have to deal with tires that are overheated, calm down the driver, and get them back to work.
And Reese, here's the key thing. That spin was the equivalent time loss of a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, it certainly was, and that means that it's, he's going to come back into the pits. He's got too much damage. Not only did he have that big slide, he got unsettled in Big Bend, but he also got some damage from running into the car on the outside. So this will undoubtedly result in a change for the lead. From 0 to hero, apparently, for Kenny McGrath. He unfortunately got that drive-through penalty earlier on. Fortunately, if you're talking about donations, but he's going to the lead.
Well, key as well for Fernando Marçal, that was the fast repair Joey used.
Yeah, that's a faster pair, so that is the lifeline gone. That number 29 car that has led the entire race is now out there with no lifeline at all. I think the biggest thing, though, is that they're filling up with fuel right now, so they should be good to go to the end. You see them neck and neck with the Mustang as they exit back out onto the track. The number 29 slots into what is 3rd place overall, but at least on my notes over here, the first car that's good to go to the end on fuel.
Yeah, and that's going to be critical, that if you can make it all the way home and hose, you look at Snowmen and First Due, they all have to come in and make that final stop of the race. So it really does put a massive change in terms of how everyone stacks up and what they look at. And even though we started today with 45 cars running, we've still got a huge amount of cars still out there. Still over 35 cars are circulating on track. So it gives a real sense. And look at that for 3 wide. That's brave down the inside then from the likes of the Lancheros team as well, right in front of Fernando Marçal. So they are really scrapping in front of the group at this stage. And that's not what you want to see when you're fighting for the race lead right now here, Reese, that the cars in front of you are going 3 wide around this place.
Yeah, if you're the race leader, you've got a pace advantage, you're coming up on a battle, and you've only just come out of the pits, and you're still fighting, technically, for the race lead with the other 2 cars ahead. Kenny McGrath in the 26 coming into the lane. This is going to be his final stop of the day, and that may very well bring the gap down further. But Fernando Marçal, not only is he dealing with what's happening ahead of him, he's getting pressure from behind. Is that a slowdown? He's letting these Mustangs go.
Oh, this is deadly at the moment. I don't see anything there. So just trying to keep this as much of a race of, I would say, keep out of trouble as you can. But the moment you start going under 100%, that's difficult. Out comes Kenny McGrath. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in between to try and close down. But that gap is not what it was. So this is now starting to bring itself back in. Fernando Marçal at this moment is in a really big stick or twist situation, Joey.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more nervous than what he has been all race long, or at least the previous 90 minutes. Now, the car directly behind, that is one of those Mercedes, and it is her position, but I bet you they are going to have to come down pit lane relatively soon to get that full tank of gas to make it to the end. I think crucially, we were watching that McLaren, and of course, they were able to get significantly out further in front. And I think one of the reasons why we saw those Mustangs go by that Reese was mentioning, remember, still cold tires on that outlap after that fast repair.
Now, we know that the Alberta Esports Racing orange car, Reese, has to come in and make a stop, but critically, at 9/10 of a second back, that is direct pressure for the race lead.
Yeah, it is, and that could be an influence on the battle for the lead. You know, Colby Dumoulin in that Mercedes back there, he's not quite involved in the fight for the overall lead when we correct positions with the pit stops, but he's always been fast. Ever since he got into the car, he's run these fantastic lap times, and you see more traffic here for the number 29. There we go. That's going to equal things out there. Dumoulin coming into the lane, and it looks like getting followed in there by one of the Ferraris. That's the Help Me Tom Cruise machine of Chad Erickson. Car 78, they've gotten a drive-through penalty, a donation.
Yeah, mission impossible for them right now. 18th position and falling on further back. So this is tough in terms of what they've had to deal with. And so now they're back out and away again. As there goes through Cason Collier going straight by. So for the moment, Blackbird Racing in control. Snowmen Racing second. Wisco Dairy Air now up into third position now. So it's really showing that there's a lot going out there in terms of the battles. We watch Matthew Johnson and Nick Hester going at it right now for 8th and 9th positions out there. It's also worth saying at this point in time that this is a wonderful charity drive and initiative, and this is a wonderfully international commentary box that we've got, because we've got America, Australia and the United Kingdom all being represented. But just because this is going on to help the United States element of the likes of Action for Multiple Sclerosis doesn't mean that their efforts don't help around the world. It's for me as well, this is always a wonderful charity to work with, because my wife-to-be in about 3 days' time now, it will be, also suffers from multiple sclerosis. And so for me, this is a very personal element out there, as Drew Adamson decides everyone in front of Steve Myers will get a penalty again. So thank you, Drew. Everybody loves Drew, who's out there. He's often here with the massive crew that's working together at iRacing, putting the penalties in. So everybody's got another trip down the lane. Oh, we've actually got a crash in the lane. Drunken Bird Racing have hit the attenuator going in. That's going to affect a couple drivers. But in terms of what elements like this go through, first-hand dealing with multiple sclerosis is always a challenge, and the longer that it goes on, the more difficult that it gets. And so you hope that you don't get any more types. So the most difficult type to deal with is relapse and remit in terms of multiple sclerosis. So hopefully in terms of our story, so to speak, everything will be okay. So anything you can do, donate for more drivers like these diving down into the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, everyone in front of Steve Myers getting a penalty, and look at them all coming in. This is crazy. That's an actual traffic jam, Joey, coming into pit lane there. They would have had to get on the brakes mega early for that one.
Yeah, but thankfully everybody's kind of in the same boat, that you got to come down, trundle down, and just serve that drive-through penalty. So you just have to watch those accordion effects. And I got my eye here, of course, on our number 27. And from those penalties, I see that it has moved up inside the top 20. Still 2 laps down, still needs a few more donations, but Steve Myers starting to crack up inside of this top 20.
Eyeing up 18th place here, and LSM Racing, which is Ian Judd, just in front. So that's 2 seconds down the road. So Steve's got a carrot on a stick here at the moment, Reese, to go and chase.
Yeah, and it's a very sweet carrot for the moment. Ian Judd, having just come through the lane, his fastest lap of the race was a 48.9. Steve Myers, on the other hand, a 49.5 is his ultimate pace. So that could be a position change for Mr. Myers very shortly. Check back in with the race leader for now. That's going to be solid lead still for Fernando Marçal. He did suffer his issues around about the time he was due to come into the pits, but it seems he's made a recovery. 6.8 seconds now the gap for the lead on my timing, 5.9 on your timing, Tower.
Yeah, so we're really seeing that gap coming back down, and Kenny McGrath is doing what's needed. There is Morin to the pit, so Secret Santa Racing Division is in, and the likes then trundling through with Speedlab Esports and Adam Cohen they're now in behind the wheel. There is the Snowmen Racing car right now, and it is just trying to haul and get close. And I think they are trying to dangle out and say, can anybody out there in this world find one penalty to get us in? They're going to try and do it on the circuit, but it's tough with 15 minutes to go, Joey.
And to your point, they are close enough now, not only the Snowmen Racing team, but also that Kaysen Collier car. I think that both are second and third place
Penalty for the 29!
Oh, and oh my goodness, and that is going to totally flip the 29th race on its head. Just what we were talking about, this is going to change the track position.
And suddenly Blackbird Racing now on the back foot. Fernando Marçal has driven a wonderful race. The entire team at Blackbird are at the whims and the mercy of donations. They've done nothing wrong all day with one small mistake, and suddenly their lead in jeopardy, and they're going to have to take this dive into the pits, working out now as they try and slide into the line. It's an agonizing 35 miles an hour. That's pretty much a case of town speed. Welcome to the lead from 43rd on the grid, Snowmen Racing, 15 minutes to hold.
That's fantastic for Kenny McGrath. And I want to highlight Fernando Marçal absolutely nailed that pit entry. I think that's just about the most perfect pit entry I've ever seen anyone do at Lime Rock Park. But that has put him back into second, and he's under pressure for third as well, because Kaysen Collier is right behind him as the 29 made its way out of the pits.
But the story's not over. Remember, you can penalise any team in this race by scanning the QR code and donating $19,749. We are so close to 20,000. Please donate whatever you can to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society in this race for the cure, as we got some wonderful side-by-side. A Syndicate straight down the inside then. That moves them to 9th place with the pass on Matthew Johnson. And there on the outside, they have to deal with a bit of slow driving. That's Ian Judd, who went off the road. So Steve Myers got another one.
Sometimes you just got to keep on swimming out there on the racetrack. And yeah, as we watch this battle for what is, call it 9th place in this McLaren versus McLaren battle, going up into the uphill here. Watching some of these cars do those awesome wheelies like we've been saying all along. It kind of depends, though. We've seen these Porsches really raise those front wheels as we kind of concentrate on this battle for what is second. Remember, we've seen this white number 29. That's the Blackbird Racing car dominate all race long, but this number 14 multicolored car driven by Kaysen Collier is doing a terrific job, especially in the back half of this race. He sees second place directly up the road.
Yeah, that's Drunken Broke Racing in front of them. Barrett Ivan is the car in front, and Kaysen Collier can only watch at a lunge down into turn number 1. Every time you do so, it's a risk, and makes that work in front of that 71 Motorsport and Silas Mose, who is there at 24 laps down, showing the spirit of racing. Oh, and Ivan almost gets close into the side, and this is what you have. Late stages of a race, pressure, and these drivers will have their legs tapping, Reese. They will be sweating at the steering wheel through their sim racing gloves and looking around at this going, I do not want to be here.
I've got my legs tapping, Jake, as it looks like they just passed by another incident at the top of the hill. That was the M7 Racing Porsche that went off there. But this traffic, fortunately, Fernando Marçal has managed to clear it just in time, but that pressure is ever present from Kaysen Collier here. He just needs to hope that the Mercedes in front is polite and gives him room there, but it's going to be difficult for him. Car coming out of the pits on the right-hand side is a bit of a slide for the number 29. Matthew Caston in the white Porsche there coming out of pit lane, and oh no, that's going to be it over for Kaysen Collier. Tapped around, and his case for the podium is looking a little shaky at the moment. Still got the gap over Nate Orlovsky, but he has lost touch with second.
Yeah, that was Beltran Pulo, who had the lead of the race right at the very beginning. They're making that contact, so tough for Kaysen Collier. Not much you can do in that scenario. They're just tagged from behind and ultimately drop out of contention now for second position, unless, Joey, money says otherwise.
Yeah, there could certainly be some donations that turn that around. Let's take a look at exactly what happened here with the replay. I believe this is going to be the number 14 car, and he's had a couple tough laps. First, it was the 29 car exiting pit lane, and then this we saw live. So he's just out a little bit wide. That white Porsche had just exited pit lane, but watch for that red Ferrari going to stick his nose in the left-hander. No, maybe a little bit over-ambitious, and around goes the 14 of Collier.
We call that being a little overzealous on the brakes going into that section. It's so easily done, as there is Kenny McGrath, and there is a drive-through penalty for the Snowmen Racing team, and they're off the road and sliding. Blackbird are going to get back to position.
Okay, I said it at the top of the show, didn't I, Sperry? A battle of the donations. It looks like we've got a few crews starting to form here who want their respective cars to win. And now we're going to be seeing the leaders trade drive-throughs as well as position. The gap is only 7.5 seconds. Now, how much do you lose on a trip through pit lane? Round about that, maybe a little bit more. It depends. So we'll see how close they are when they come out.
This might actually be third as well at threat right now, and into the pit will go Kenny McGrath, and was just trying to query there with Nim Cross over the radio. I thought there was going to be no penalties within the final 15 minutes, but the penalty came in before that timer expired. So Fernando Marçal back to control at the front of the field, and now for third position you've got the likes of Kaysen Collier going down the straight, but it's not going to do enough. Now 7 seconds the gap, 8 seconds. Blackbird Racing now just need to hold the final 9.5, and they are home free, Joey.
Yeah, and just as you said that about Kaysen Collier, actually had another incident on the uphill on this previous lap, so he has lost third place down to fourth. That promotes Nate Orlovsky in that first Do Motorsports up onto the podium, but obviously all eyes with under 10 minutes remaining on this number 29.
Yeah, which is in full control of the field and just can't afford anything silly with the lap cars in front, like the Wisco Derriere car, which is 10th position, about to try and put a lap down and not having much luck with that at the moment. So this is where you just need your wits about you to try and navigate through that position. But let's talk about that 14 team. They've been right up there with the podium race, and now all of a sudden Thirsty Motorsports, who have been knocking on the door of trying to jump up for places, they've just quietly made their way up to third now.
Yeah, they have, and sometimes staying out of trouble is the best way to go about it. And just looking at the screen here at the moment, we see Fernando Marçal still in the lead, but look at that red Ferrari in the background. That is Beltran Pulo, former race leader, and we've seen his lunges in the braking zones affect the battling up the top of the field before. I get the feeling that Marçal might be looking in his mirrors at that Ferrari as we check back in that race for 14th. Tony Reddington and Adam Cohen in cars 13 and 21 respectively, right in the midst of a gaggle of cars.
Oh, this is a huge gaggle right now. Remember, that Secret Santa Racing Division team started 45th. They found themselves 31 places up in terms of this race. You got LSM Racing back out there again, Understeer Motorsports, and then the popped up team, Speedlab Esports, and then Kaysen Collier's there with the racing team, and Alberta Esports Racing Orange wanting to go up into fourth position. Spinner then as they go through. That's JMH Racing there, the BMW going around. And for Marçal and co, you can see some lights flashing there, Joey, on the front stretch there by the Mustang in front. There trying to move through. That was Andrew Carlson trying to say, can you let me through, please? And that actually might be the perfect car in front for Fernando Marçal. A car that is as quick.
Sometimes you just need somebody else to kind of be the hammer, and you see a car go off on the downhill section down there. That is a high-speed corner. You see the bumper bouncing back out onto the racetrack, so definitely an incident. I believe might have been the 59 car, if I'm seeing it right on my screen.
Yeah, that's Ian Judd, who'd only just come back out on circuit, trying to get back around and going again. Another black and orange flag for them, so that will park them. And oh, there's huge troubles at turn one. Kaysen Collier's caught up in it.
Oh dear. Things just keep... Oh, this is crazy, Joey. Everything's going off here in the final 10 minutes.
100%. I was just reporting that Kaysen Collier had a bad couple of laps, only a handful of laps ago. And Jake, sometimes on the racetrack, when it rains, it pours.
It does, and it's why you have to keep yourself in the moment, right place, right time, and up the hill. It's all about giving yourself opportunities. Look at the damage there to the front left. That is there on that Porsche, exposed front tyre for Kaysen Collier. That is not a car that is now pointing the right direction. They've just lost the place to the Crazy Squirrels team out there, down to 9th.
Well, we'll see replay of some of the chaos that's gone on here. Kaysen Collier through the final corner, and well, he passes the Corvette that went off ahead of him there, the number 59 that Joey highlighted, and then coming into turn one, where do you go? Collier a little bit too late on the brakes. I think he might have been distracted or caught out. That ended up resulting in a big incident there. And is that a BMW that's spun around in the background as well? It all went off in sector one on that lap.
It very much did. All of that has meant now that Steve Myers is into the top 15 in this race with 5 minutes to go. 7.7 seconds now is the gap here for Fernando Marçal over Kenny McGrath. It will only take a mistake from here to cost the race for Blackbird Racing, and they have done themselves a massive favour. Look at the acreage of space, Joey, that they have afforded themselves. That is some elite level control late on in a race.
It is elite level control, like you said, but I'm looking at our donation tracker. We're less, or I should say $50 away from that $20,000 mark, and I mean, we still have 4 minutes remaining. There's the QR code. Get out your phone, scan that thing, go donate, because guess what? This 29 Blackbird Racing, it's currently in the lead, but is it going to stay there? That's the question that we've got all night long.
We do, and these laps will tick down. They are 50 seconds in terms of lap length, so that leaves just 6 laps to go. As far as this has been sorted, this has been a tough race where everybody has been on tenterhooks for the final half an hour, and we've still got battles going on as Steve Myers is in the top 15. It's on for 5th and 6th as well. Worth keeping in mind out. 7th and 8th also close, but Steve, top 15. Yes, had a couple help from a couple people saying everyone in front of them take the penalty, but the Hendricks iRacing car here, Reese, has done a stellar job after effectively taking a drive-through penalty on the opening lap of the race.
Yeah, for sure. The fortune has flipped for Steve Myers. He got roasted early on in proceedings, but then got some help with everyone in front of him getting donated a drive-through penalty. Now, Steve still has a potential battle on his hands here, especially as he lets 7th place through here. There's only a gap of, it seems, about 3 seconds or so back to the Speed Lab Esports car of Adam Cohen. So Steve isn't quite out of the woods yet.
No, definitely not, and this has been a game of swings and roundabouts here today, and the lights flashing crazily back there from Miroslav Zurkovic, who's trying to get past both Leon Janina and Steve Myers here to try and get through, forcing away at West Bend to try and make it happen, because all of this traffic here and everyone trying to finish their race right now, Joey, look, it's costing the race run here for 7th place.
Every single battle out there, it's not always for position, so sometimes you have to get your way through some of these lapped cars rather aggressively. And Jake, to your point, if you don't get through them aggressively, let's say it takes a few apexes or even a few laps, all of a sudden the battle that you were in could be gone.
2.5 minutes remaining, and it will be 3 laps left for Fernando Marçal, we think. At this moment, we'll have to double check when the crosses of the line come into play, because it could be very close for Barney, the flag man, between 3 or 4 laps to go in this one, and the gaps still are important to deal with. Nick Hester, the sloth, trying to move for a top 5. That will help, trying to get by Dennis Neri, who runs a little bit wide there from Brazil.
And Neri losing a lot of time on that lap, 51.4. He's running about 3 seconds slower than his ultimate race pace. And Nick Hester taking a full second out of him on the previous lap. There's still battling going on around here. This battle for 5th place also still on for 8th between the Crazy Squirrels team and Kaysen Collier. And down for 20th and 21st, Navy Tiger Racing and Drunken Broke Racing are still fighting for that last position in the top half of the field. Still plenty to work out here, but it looks like we're about ready to bring this race to a close, Sperry. 1.5 laps remaining for our leader.
And Joey, he's done so well over the course of that recovery, has Marcel.
He's done a terrific job. He was out front leading the majority of this race, and then, of course, got that drive-through penalty. This is going to be really close. We could be coming to the white flag here. You see they do about 49 seconds lap, 50 seconds, 49. White flag is out. One more lap to go for Blackbird Racing.
They have worked so well at the front of this field. They've navigated the penalties and they found one that came back. Snowmen Racing in second position have pulled the gap down to 7 seconds. They're relying on Marcel to do something silly, and with Griffin Moore on this final lap through the right-hander and on the Paul Newman straight, looking for the deadly uphill and one final jump over the top of this section. In a race for the cure, it has been about finding a way to keep yourself in position to do all of the hard work and know it will pay off in the end. From 6th on the grid, now through the downhill, Blackbird Racing will fly, fly, fly away and win here at Lime Rock Park.
Magnificent job there, and Steve Myers is still bringing the number 27 car home. He'll find his way into the top 15. It seems like he's put enough space between himself and Adam Cohen that position is safe. One more wheelie across the top of the hill there, Joey. Man, what varying fortunes for Mr. Myers in this race.
Yeah, from a few laps down and will officially finish in the 15th place position comes that number 27 car. Nice job from Steve Myers to bring it back inside the top 15.
And that was wonderfully constructed as the last of the drivers now make their way over towards the line on what has been a tough scrap, a little bit of side-by-side over towards the end there. But ultimately a race for the cure where everything has been so wonderfully put together as everyone has done what they've needed to. It's car 29 and Porsche who will take the victory overall with Blackbird Racing, and you can see the headlights flashing and saying what a wonderful bit of racing we have had in Lakeville, Connecticut. And the Mecca of the Northeast proves itself again as the winning margin is 6.7 seconds over Snowmen Racing, who will feel a bit hard done by the fact that they had that control with 15 minutes to go and found the latest of late penalties put them back to second. First U Motorsports will be third ahead of Alberta Esports Racing Orange, with SRT Saldana Racing Team in fifth. It's their Not So Fast Racing Black in sixth position, with Syndicate Racing and a Crazy Squirrels team 7th and 8th. Kaysen Collier would be 9th, 10 in the top 10 as they went through, as the car there of the Wisco Derriere would round out that top 10. Granches would be 11th with Kolioko 12th, 1 lap down. WhatsApp as well would be 13th. Secret Santa, what a drive by them, by the way, from 45th up to 14th. And then Steve Myers and his team. NASCAR 25 is coming October 14th, and it is 15th place then for the Chevrolet. Speedlab Esports around the outside. Help me, Tom Cruise. Well, we can only help them to 18th place with Team Matthew Caston and the Navy Tiger Racing Orange team there. Now the laps start to get a little bit bigger there. You see the likes of Team Beltran Pulo, 4 laps down the Argentine-based team. The likes there of the racing team, the aptly named racing team there, 8 laps down. Pop Tart, 11 laps down. Sim Racing team down at 14 laps there. then in 30th position. And then you start looking over the page further to more retirees out there. RJRC found themselves a long way down the order, back there in 34th position, for example. As you look down, Always Tired Racing, well, it's clear they were tired because they found themselves with a bit of a lost time. GG Racing, well, good game. It's 40th place, 102 laps down, 49 drivers, but 45 who would take the start all in all that would go through, which goes down to Epic Fails Motorsports, who got disqualified from racing action overall. But Joey, it goes to show you why we like the Race for the Cure benefiting the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, because racing like this, quite simply put, you never know how it's going to work out until the end of the race.
I think that's one of the coolest part about these charity races with the donations and whatnot, is that you're right. You never really know what's going to happen. We saw that 29 car lead the majority of the race. All of a sudden, those donations started coming in. He fell all the way back to, what was it, third place, but it was something like 10 or 15 seconds back. So there was a lot of action. They were able to fight their way back up towards the front. Some other people had some problems on track. More donations rolled in. I can't wait to actually see what our final tally is going to be tonight.
Absolutely. And Joey, I believe you've got yourself stood by with the Executive Vice President of iRacing, Steve Myers.
Yeah, we're joined here with Steve Myers, and of course, here for the Race for the Cure benefiting National MS Society, a fantastic cause and a great night of racing. What does it mean for you tonight?
I actually, I say this every year, that doing this event, it really reminds you, one, that you make a really fun product that everyone seems to like to race, but you can also do great things like this and raise money for good causes. And, you know, trying to find a cure for the MS is obviously a huge initiative on our part over the last few years. I think now we're going to cruise past over $170,000 raised, I think, doing these races through the years now. So, I mean, I think to say that a group of sim racers can do good, I think is obviously been proven by this charity event.
And since we're talking about the donations, a little bit more on the fun aspect, we saw them all night long, including to everyone in front of the number 27. Did you have maybe a race donation strategist hard at work handling track position?
Honestly, I told them before the race, when I figured out that I was basically going to be doing this in Ironman, that please don't talk to me. So I pretty much just did that, not talking to anyone until the very end, when unfortunately I misjudged my braking and I punted somebody out of the way, and I apologize, not intentional, but I also was a little bit exhausted at that point too, so it kept me some slack.
Well, and you said you Ironmanned it. What did you think about the nonstop action? I mean, we had 40 plus GT3 cars at Lime Rock Park, the Bull Ring. It seemed crazy out there.
You know, I was just trying not to get in anyone's way and just try to turn consistent laps. One of the things I pride myself on in doing this event is I try to have as few incidents as possible. I think they actually picked the track this year just to prove that I couldn't do this event without an incident, which was true. So they succeeded in that. But I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you don't even have time to rest. I mean, I don't know how they could do that in the real world. I mean, they have drink bottles, but I unfortunately didn't have a drink bottle or any way to stop the sweat from running down my face. But I'm exhausted. I'm going to sleep late tomorrow.
Well, we'll let you get to bed here pretty soon. My last one, we raised $20,369 by the ticker that we've got here. How does that feel?
It's fantastic. I mean, I can't thank everyone enough that's donated and contributed to this. And there's a whole nother day of racing tomorrow. But also I want to thank all of you who've volunteered your time to do this as well. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that do all of the hard work on the MS Society and on the iRacing side, you know, in the broadcasters, and everyone's staying up late and donating their time to help with this. We get to have fun and race on camera, but you guys are really the ones doing all the hard work. So I'm really appreciative for all the work that you guys did for this, and thank you. But thank you to everyone that's donated, and please tune in over the rest of the races and contribute if you can.
Well, thank you so much, Steve Myers, for allowing us to do what we do out here. A fantastic night of racing for a great cause.
Some wonderful action then that has brought itself together, and we've seen the chases of what has gone through, but there is more amazing stuff coming up just this weekend. I get married on that day. Portimao 1000 though, that's going to be fun to get yourself in on and watching. Reese, when it comes to racing action, the Autostrada Internacional do Algarve is one of those tracks where you just get amazing racing that comes through. 12:30 GMT, 8:30 AM Eastern. You want to tune in with us on iRacing for that.
Absolutely, and it's old school sports car racing as well. The HPD, the GT1 cars, and the old GT2 Ford. It's going to be an absolute banger of a race, and we're looking forward to bringing that to you. The Portimao 1000 kilometers on the 16th of August. That is this Saturday. So if you haven't gotten a team together for that one, make sure you do. We also have eNASCAR, Coca-Cola iRacing Series, round 15 at Michigan coming up on Tuesday, Joey, August the 19th. Going to be a tough one here. Some hard oval racing. Some of the best virtual stock car drivers in the world.
Michigan is such a fast racetrack. I can't wait to see those next-gen cars go 3, 4, and potentially even 5 wide at what is a super speedway up there just outside of Detroit. But a word is that we're not even done after that Coke Series. We still got Crandon. We got off-road trucks going to the big house, Jake.
We do super sessions that will be going through. You'll see all of it with us here on iRacing, and as well those super sessions 1 and 2, August 23rd. You're going to want to jump in and see all the best scramble out there, time in and time out. You can catch that with us here on iRacing, and there will be so much scrambles that goes through. Oh, and did we say that there's more? I believe we can say there's even more than that is going to be coming on forward, because we got the best fighting for a $500,000 seat out there in the world, because you can still book your ticket right now when it comes to hot lap qualifiers for the Virginia International Raceway at skipbarber.com/iRacing series. The main race will be in play. Will Matt Caruana and Aaron Vasquez continue their tussle, try and book their place in the showdown to get themselves a top 3 finish? That you can catch with us on iRacing. But Reese, when it comes to racing like this, there is simply no better thrill or feeling when it comes to action like this with your Race for the Cure. And the best thing is that donations are still open, and each and every split has had a wonderful time of racing.
Yeah, for sure. So many splits going on at the moment. And, you know, there was enough action in the split that we broadcast. It's amazing to see the amount of support that has come through. All of the donations coming in. We cracked $20,000 raised by the end of the broadcast, Joey. And as Jake said, donations are still open, so that number could get even higher. It fills your heart with joy to see it.
That's exactly what we're here for, the Race for the Cure, to help find an end to MS out here. And yeah, it is a great night of racing, a great night of donations, and congrats to that number 29 team.
We've got so much amazing action that comes along with iRacing, but today it was more than just the racing. This was a race for the cure. This was a race of community that everyone would bring together. This is about you at home who are able to influence the outcome of a result, and that is your link that you can use to donate out there. We've had some incredible action, top to bottom, left to right, up and down. For more information, you've got great chance to go through, but the one thing you can say above all else, Blackbird Racing on top with everything they wanted and then some. They pick up the win in the Race for the Cure.